Hey, whoever's got air, that's where you're sleeping, friend or not.
I mean, all my stuff.
Just change your clothes.
Hurry.
I mean, honestly, if I was in town, I'd invite you to share the hotel room. I'd switch from a one bed room to a two so you could sleep. I mean,
I'm currently just trying to figure out how I can resolve this situation without, being a total asshole. But
well,
I'm like, okay,
I think it's real simple though. I think you call them up and you go, "Here's the deal. Okay, if we replace it, you paying for it? Because you can't get this fixed and we can't live."
Yeah.
And you just say, by the way, if the answer is no, I work for a television station. We're going to bring the news crew. Because this is ridiculous.
I'm with David.
All right.
Trust me, I use that every once in a while.
Yeah, absolutely. No. You just say to him, "You go, listen, you going to pay for this? And by the way, we just need I need an email. I need it in writing. Okay. After 9 days of no AC or whatever it was, the agreement was, we will arrange to get it fixed. The landlord will pay for it in totality."
I'll get it in writing.
Yeah. And say, by the way, if not, okay, I'm going to.
I'm an editor for NBC2 News. I'll call my producer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I will end up editing the story about my house without AC.
My roommates will be my subjects.
Exactly.
We did a story on a mailbox getting stolen. Trust me, they'll do a story.
Oh, yeah. By the way, especially since the whole week has just been about how hot it is. Trent, I forget his last name, just walking up to people who work outside. Just like, are you okay? And it's hot. I usually prefer the shine over the rain, but please bring us more rain.
Wow, you mean there's actually a law in Florida that benefits the people and not a big company or conglomeration? Wow.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. The numbers, they are getting so low. So small. 16, 21, 28. And not only that, hell, the big number 0. We're sending those kids back to school today, ready or not.
Yeah.
How the heck are you? We're Miller and Moulton. This is the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. One of the things we love about sports, Mark, you just never know. You just never know. What's going to happen today? I don't know. A pretty slow sports day. Not much going on. Really? Okay. How about a no-hitter? Oh, all right. I'll spice things up. How you doing?
I'm doing great. School starts today. I'm in tremendous spirits.
Who's happier? Is that the fourth grader or the parents?
Believe it or not, the fourth grader. She loves school. She's very excited to get back to see her friends. We had the open house. She knows almost everybody in her class. She's got a bunch of friends there. So she's very, very excited. She's at a 10. I'm at a 9.5.
Wow, if that's you at a 9.5, I don't want to see 10. Woo-hoo-wee. You are happy. You are ear to ear, my friend.
It was a long, hot summer, David.
You know, that's what I've heard. I've heard this summer more than most. Listen, you know it's hot. So we had a bunch of stuff that we had to get shredded yesterday, and we paid for it. So this guy driving the big shredder truck, he pulls in the lot, he gets out. It's midday. And he gets out, he already looks like an unmade bed. I just, he hasn't even gotten to the hot part of the day yet. It's still on the rise. And he looks at me and he goes, I used to hate it when people talked about the weather just to make conversation. I go, yeah. He goes, damn, it's hot. And he goes, and I used to live in Redding, California. I go, oh, by Chico. He goes, yeah. He goes, we'd get 106, 107. He goes, but it was supposedly a dry heat. I go, yeah, one of those communities. He goes, yeah, it was still hot. He goes, but man, what is going on? And when people in Florida are complaining about the heat, it'd be like people in the desert in Arizona. How hot is it? Well, it's like people in Tulsa, Oklahoma going, man, it is hot and windy. I mean, when there's certain parts of the country that complain about certain weather, it's like North Dakotans going, man, it's been a rough winter. Holy blank. I guess it's been Siberia.
Well, and the problem is it's just August 10th. There will be no letting up until, I don't know, Halloween.
Well, that's literally what the guy said. He got out of the truck. He looked at me and the sweat is just pouring off of him. And he goes, is it mid-October yet?
No, sir.
No,
no, sir, it's not.
No, that would be a no, sir. That would be a no. And then I said to him, I go, so I guess you didn't buy that winning ticket because, we're a half hour away from where that, ticket was purchased. I go, so I guess you didn't buy that ticket, huh? He goes, no, your order would have been canceled today. Got it. So back to school they go. We can be serious for 5 seconds. It's going to be a lot more cars out on the road, a lot more people. Be careful. That's all. Just, it's going to take a couple days. Everybody's got to relearn their routes and, people will be leaving earlier than normal and want to make sure they get there. And so just take it easy next couple days. That's all.
Like Frankie first said, and then Aaron said, relax.
Don't do it. Miller and Moulton on this Thursday. And you know what? No-hitters are cool. They're cool. It doesn't even matter. You know what? They're so cool even if it happens to your team. You're like, you know what? I'm okay with it. That's how cool this is. I was rooting for it too.
It's even cooler when the pitcher throwing it is wearing white Vans. Those were his cleats, white Vans. It's pretty swaggy.
It is swaggy. It is. And the fact, what's that, his second start for Philadelphia
Just
since
his
he's been
second
traded?
start as a Philly, no-hitter in the white.
Remember his first start, wasn't it against the Marlins? And he went 8 innings, which matched the longest start by a Phillies pitcher all year. And obviously he did 1 inning better last night. Although the pitch count got pretty high. The manager after the 7th inning said, I don't know if you're going to be able to finish this. And he just looked at him. The manager goes, better make it quick.
And he got an 11-pitch 8th inning, which gave him the opportunity to go out for the 9th.
I guess Robbie Thompson there said to him, you got 20 pitches. So he entered the 9th with 9. He got an early ground out. Home plate umpire helped him on the second one. That pitch was a little outside, but, 2-2, no hitter, You're
going to get that call.
Yeah, the batter at that point's got to know, the corners are a little wider than they were in the 6th. And he threw a meatball, though. I'll tell you what. That was a hanging slurve. Just some, it's tough to hit a baseball. It really is. You throw a strike, you got a 7 in 10 chance of getting the guy out. So Michael Lorenzen is his name. I guess Dombrowski's walking through the clubhouse. And Phillies players are going, "Great trade, boss."
Absolutely.
He was a deadline acquisition for the Phillies. Good for him. Good for them. The 14th no-hitter in Phillies history, one of the oldest franchises in the sport. Just the second one in that ballpark. The Roy Halladay playoff no-hitter, I believe, the only other no-hitter at Citizens Bank there.
And the 4th no-hitter this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Think about it. We've had 4 no-nos, one of them a perfect game.
Right. One combo. The Tigers threw the 3-pitcher combo. The Astros had one at the deadline. The Phillies last night, and then the Yanks perfect game there.
I have to admit, I don't count the combos. I know we have a poll question that's up for all of today because we thought of it with about 30 minutes left in yesterday's show in our bonus hour. So
we didn't even think of it. I made a very matter-of-fact statement that really ticked off my co-host.
In fact, I don't know if I'll be able to continue and finish the week if my vote isn't the winning vote in
And
today's
it's not
poll
looking
question.
good for you.
Unbelievable. Man, I am so out of touch with society. God, when did this happen?
You don't count the combo. It's a no-hitter.
No. That's not, no. No hitters. When one guy goes out there, goes 9 innings, gives up no hits. It's,
So there were only 3 no-hitters this year then?
Yeah, to me, yeah. I don't count the combo no hitters. I don't. I mean, I understand. I guess the team can count it, but no. I mean, really, would you get excited if you put it this way? If you're at a game and a guy's throwing a no-no, there's no chance you're going to leave. No chance. If you're at a bullpen day and the home team's winning 6-0 or losing 6-0, and the other team's sending their 4th pitcher out to the hill in the top of the 7th, and your buddies go, "Hey, man, come on. We got an early start tomorrow. What have you? Got to send the kids to school." And they go, no, man. We still got a no-hitter going.
I'd stay because I've never seen one. Never been in the ballpark when a no-hitter's been thrown.
But do you consider it a no-no?
In today's baseball, yes. Hell, we have 3-4 complete games a year, for crying out loud.
There were 3 combined no-hitters last season. One of them including 5 different pitchers.
Yeah, I'd be like, that's cute. It's a nice tidbit. Don't know if the Orioles are allowed to put that in the next day game notes. Might get somebody in trouble unless they were the team throwing the no-no. But it wouldn't do a thing for me, honestly. Not a thing.
It's not. I mean, it wouldn't be as cool as seeing one guy. I get all that, but I'd stay.
So, to be honest, it would mean less to me than a guy going a complete game. And I don't mean throwing a no-hitter or a shutout. Okay. I'd much rather stay to see if a guy could finish just 9 innings, giving up 2 runs and a 5-2 win. That to me would be more cool than 4 pitchers combining on a no-hitter.
It's almost as rare.
Yeah, I know. But not only that, it upstaged a hell of a story last night in that Phillies game. They had one of those career minor leaguer guys, nearly 3,000 at bats in the minors. And he got called up. He's got 20 friends and family at the game. Hell, he's damn near playing that game for free with all the tickets he had to buy. First at bat, gone. Weston Wilson. His dad was crying. I mean, man, if you're the Phillies in-game reporter, you got a lot going on last night. You got Weston Wilson's family crying as he homers in his first at bat after spending like 8 years in the minors. I think the pandemic year, he didn't play at all. He like had to go get a job and then, quit the job after a year and go back to trying to still be a professional baseball player. And then after you're done talking about that, later he steals a base and scores. And then midway through the game, you realize, wait a minute, this guy's got a no-hitter. Is his family here? Oh, hell, that's his mom. That's his wife. That's his kid. It's a good game to be the Phillies in-game reporter, man. Got a lot going on.
In-game reporter. Tough game to be a beat writer. A lot of places you got to be while you're covering the game.
That's right. A lot of hustle. This elevator working?
By the way, if I've got this right, there have been 21 complete games this year, David.
How many by Sandy? 4?
2.
Oh, 2.
Should have been 3, but he had thrown 101 pitches going to the ninth.
Yeah.
So we couldn't let him go out for the ninth. Mm-hmm.
Miller and Moulton. Pat Kirwan on the show today. He's at Jags camp. The starting 5 is 25 minutes away right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
It's time for Dr. Roto's yearly house call, Tuesday, August 15th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe in Fort Myers. The second annual Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit, courtesy of the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. Dr. Roto will give you all the tips, secrets, while answering your questions so you can win in fantasy football. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com. $50 gets you dinner, non-alcoholic drinks, and Dr. Roto. Seating is limited. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com today.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I'll never forget the 2021 season that had 7 no-hitters. And I believe that 2 of those no-hitters were in back-to-back nights. Or 2 nights separated from each other. Yeah, that was crazy. Did you know that the Tampa Bay Rays have been on the losing end of 3 perfect games?
I did
think-
not.
I thought 2 of them were in the same year.
Yes.
Uh,
Dallas
Mark,
Braden and Felix Hernandez. Or no.
was it Keuchel? No, not Keuchel. Mark Burley.
Burley, yes. Or wait, hold on.
But
No.
yes.
Burley was in 09, and then Felix Hernandez was in 2012, and then the third one
Dallas Braden.
was Dallas Braden, yeah.
Yeah, well, it was Mother's Day, but what year?
Yeah. Oh no, or no, 2010.
So 09, 10, and 12.
Yeah, 09, 10, and 12.
And they were pretty good teams.
Yeah, one of them was a 1-0 game. Hell, the Roy Halladay one I went to was a 1-0 game. Yeah, Josh Johnson on the mound. But yes, even if something like that is happening to your team, you take a step back and you just appreciate it for what it is. Also, have you guys seen the clips of the Dolphins O-line getting crushed?
That's why we're
It's
why
so
we have
bad.
the guests that we're having at 8:00.
Oh my gosh. So bad. Sending prayers to you, Tua.
Coach Rick, that was like the size of well, actually I was only 3 grades. Our high school was around 1,600 kids. But when it went to 9 through 12, I think the high schools now is like 2,200 kids.
How many did your high school have, Felipe?
Like 1,200 kids.
Oh, yours is bigger than mine. Mine had like 500.
Yeah. My graduating class had just a little bit over
That's a pretty big Catholic school.
20, kind of. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. You can go there, vote in our poll question. Can't believe I'm losing. Shocking to me. Absolutely shocking. Am I losing big, small?
You're
It's
losing pretty substantially.
Unbelievable.
Not
It's
a
about
lot of voting, though. We put this on late in the show.
Oreos. It's about Oreos. Double stuffed versus the normal.
Yeah, and since we're on that, I made a simple comment that I like the regular Oreo better than the double stuffed Oreo.
I just don't know how they could be. It's kind of like, no, I can I have less icing with that cake, please? No,
I'll
it's
have
too
the
much
small
icing.
fry, not the medium fry.
Right. And that's exactly how I look at it. It's like, wait. Would you like the large fry? Nah, man. Your fries are great, but no, I'm good. But I guess it's possible. So that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, floridasportsnetwork.com. Retweet the sucker, put it out there. Just let me take my beating like a man. Unbelievable.
I'll retweet it again this morning just to make sure we get more action. But right now, regular getting 62% of the vote. Double stuffed getting 38% of the vote, David.
Can't believe it. 5 out of every 8 people voting for regular Oreos. We are just so beaten down as a society that we're like, no. I don't even deserve the good stuff. No, I'll just take the regular meat and potatoes, not the prime rib. Okay.
The way you can jump off of this and make this seem as if I'm eating a flank steak instead of a ribeye is hilarious.
Just saying. That's how I look at it. So we've got another conference that's thinking about expanding. And of course, it's with a school that's right in its quote unquote footprint. The ACC thinking about Stanford and Cal. I would just have one question. Are we the Atlantic Coast Conference or are we the Pacific Coast Conference? I'll hang up and
Pacific
listen.
Coast Division, David.
Is that it? Okay. But I love the fact that, according to reports now, dinner time, while Michael Lorenzen was working through the first 6 innings of his no-hitter, quote, momentum was building, unquote, for Stanford and Cal to gain acceptance into the ACC. And in fact, hell, they were so giddy about Stanford and Cal that they were even seriously considering SMU's wild and crazy offer. SMU has apparently said to the ACC, hey, take us, and for the first 5 years, you don't even have to give us a dime. Not a dime. We'll take care of it. We got a bunch of rich people. We're hitting them up. Apparently, we got like 6 guys who have already committed $400 million. They're going to bankroll the whole athletic department for basically the rest of the decade. You guys are good. Don't worry about a thing. Momentum was building, Mark. And then, this is my favorite, when Lorenzen was getting down the stretch of his no-hitter, it was like all of a sudden in the ACC offices, Angel Hernandez or Laz Diaz appeared, in which all of a sudden Stanford, Cal, and SMU's candidacy, quote, hit significant roadblocks, unquote. I'm guessing the roadblocks was a simple question. What part of the Atlantic Coast Conference is Stanford, Cal, and SMU?
Either that or the other really simple question was, what do you mean ESPN's not going to give us more money to add these 3 teams to our conference?
Maybe somebody in the room said, hey, who's pushing this? Notre Dame. I'm sorry, are they in the conference? Well,
for everything but football. You know the sport that matters.
The only damn sport that matters. I mean, so that's a no, is what you're saying. They're not in our conference. By the way, who gave them a full vote? How does their vote count as much as mine? How do they have a vote?
How are they even here?
So I'm going to guess that's kind of, between 9 and 10 o'clock. That's when somebody in the back of the room said, listen, I don't even know what you're doing here. If it was up to me, you wouldn't get through the door. Okay? Listen, you play Stanford every year as it is. Why do we have to have them? Just keep playing them. So apparently now there are roadblocks to Stanford, Cal. I will say the SMU thing's, to me, more interesting than Stanford and Cal. First off, I mean, it is Northeast Texas. They're near Dallas. I mean, it's much closer geographically. Secondly, it does bring in a Texas school. Third, they can be real good real quickly. I mean, for as much as we have thought in this state that UCF and South Florida could be really good if they had their act together, and sure enough, at various times they both have. I mean, like a wealthy Texas school that's serious about academics or athletics couldn't get really good in sports really quickly. I don't know. The SMU thing actually interests me. I know we're not going to get any more money from ESPN, but that one actually interests me.
I think it's fascinating that they have the ability to bankroll their own athletic department for 5 years.
Yep. No, we're good.
Think about how much money it takes to do that, and that essentially they lifted the phone a handful of times and raised enough cash to bankroll their athletic department for 5 years. Just for a seat at the smallest table in the Power 5 realm.
Listen, we don't even need a vote at these meetings, but we would like to be able to come to them if it's okay. We'd like to get to know everybody. And in fact, we'll even bring some gifts the first couple of years.
We'll provide the food. We're from Texas. We'll bring brisket. How's that sound to you?
Exactly. I mean, if you guys want to get out of town, we'll host it. But if not, we'll cater it. We're good.
And we know you're partial to North Carolina barbecue, but we'll bring our Texas barbecue just to add it along.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, that's okay. We'll sit in the back.
Hi, guys. Great to be here. Hi, my name's SMU. What's yours? Wake Forest? Nice to meet you. But, I mean, don't you at some point, if you're in that room, say to Notre Dame, I'll tell you what, Irish. That's their nickname. You just say, listen here, Irish. We'll take Stanford. We'll take Cal. Take any damn schools you want. You got to join the club.
And your approach to getting them to join the club would be go, hey, Irish.
Hey, Irish. We got a guy on the crew at CBS. That's what we call him. He's Irish. So that's why I thought of that. All right. Hey, Irish. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll take anybody you want. Tell us the schools you want. No problem. Consider it a done deal. Okay?
Hell, we'll add Navy if we have to. You
Really?
just have to join.
Hell, we'll add Navy and we'll have the Village people perform. I mean, whatever you need.
But you have to sign on the dotted line.
But you got to join. I'll even give you 2 votes. How's that? Any team you want, we'll give you 2 votes. The starting 5 is next, Irish. It's time for Dr. Roto's yearly house call. Tuesday, August 15th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe in Fort Myers. The second annual Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit, courtesy of the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. Dr. Roto will give you all the tips, secrets, while answering your questions so you can win in fantasy football. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com. $50 gets you dinner, non-alcoholic drinks, and Dr. Roto. Seating is limited. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com today.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Worth.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686. or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, DC, here's the funny thing. The Cowboys don't want out. It's been brought up before. They're like, no, 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 no. I mean, shouldn't the Dolphins be in the South? Shouldn't the Dolphins and the Colts flip?
No, not really. I mean, the Colts should then go to the Central and the Ravens should go to the East. If you want, I mean, if you're going to do it right, you got to do it right.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. All right. Colts go to the AFC North. Ravens go from the north to the east. Dolphins go to the south.
Twitch chat, I know you hear it all the time with the ads, first class air conditioning, but is there any other service that you recommend?
Yes, air by commercial. I'll give you the number in a second.
Okay, thank you. By the way, the Lowe's on Corkscrew I will never go back to that Lowe's ever again. And I can't wait for that Home Depot on Alico to be built and probably just drive it out of business. It's terrible.
Lowe's are terrible.
Lowe's is trash.
Totally with you.
Home Depot like trumps Lowe's, and it's not even close. Like, I can't trust people who say Lowe's is better than Home Depot. I can't trust you. What's wrong with you?
Is that like double stuff versus regular Oreos?
Oh, stop it. No. No. That's like Burger King fries versus McDonald's fries. Who the hell thinks Burger King fries are better than McDonald's fries?
Not even Burger King.
Exactly. Lowe's, Burger King, McDonald's, Home Depot. I rest my case.
The only reason, and you all know this from listening,
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Pat Kirwan joins us 1 hour from now on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. He was at Bucks training camp yesterday. He's at Jags camp today before he heads out west. We'll talk to Pat about life and the pursuit of happiness coming up in 1 hour's time. Listen, the days are dwindling. Your chances are dwindling. It's filling up. The Fantasy Football Summit dinner, Dr. Roto, Tuesday night, the 15th. It's in Fort Myers. It's at Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe, Bell Tower Shops. All the info you need to have a great fantasy draft and then be a terrific fantasy GM throughout the season so you can win, make the playoffs, be a double stuffed Oreo.
Or be a winner, be a regular Oreo. I will have a box of double stuffed Oreos and a box of regular Oreos at the registration table. You will be allowed to have one Oreo.
And he says winner because it's winning in our poll question.
Right.
Which, by the way, Florida Sports Network on Twitter or X, whatever you want to go with.
That Mark Miller, the David Moulton on X, and vote. Which do you prefer, the double stuffed or the regular? That's Oreos, that is. Time now for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
hell of a night last night in Philly. Got a guy named Weston Wilson, gets called up to the majors after nearly 3,000 games in the minors. Homers in his first at bat. Dad's crying. Then he later steals a base, scores another run. That's cool. Hell, that was nothing. Michael Lorenzen threw a no-hitter. His second start as a Philly, first at home. Just the 14th in franchise history. Franchise is damn near as old as this country. All right, about half as old. 124 pitches, just 5 strikeouts. Phillies beat the Nats 7-0. The Nats had not been no-hit since they were the Expos. And David Cohn threw that perfect game against them in 1999. They were the franchise that had last been no-hit. Now I believe it's the Angels who also have not been no-hit since 99. So for those that are wondering. Phillies, as we mentioned, beat the Nats 7-0. The Phillies, if the playoffs started today, would be the 4. They'd be hosting the best of 3 4-5 series against the Giants. Meanwhile, Rays tried a bullpen game at home against the Cardinals. It didn't work out so good. St. Louis beat them 6-4, but fortunately for the Rays, Houston is doing the number on Baltimore. Astros 8, Orioles 2. They're 0-2 since the whole free Kevin Brown thing started. That Kyle Tucker, who hit the slam in the 9th on Tuesday night, he started Wednesday night with a 2-run homer in the first. Get the Astros going. Those two teams will play this afternoon. Toronto keeps on rolling. They shut out Cleveland 1-0. Springer with a solo homer early in the game. That was enough. And Toronto continues to lead the wild card in the American League, but only by 2 over Seattle because, the Mariners are never losing again. They've won 7 in a row. They scored 5 in the 8th. They beat the Padres 6-1. So Toronto, the 6th seed, 2 games ahead of the Mariners. The Red Sox are 5 back. They beat the Royals 4-3. The Yankees are 5.5 back. of Toronto. White Sox scored 3 in the second, 4 in the eighth. That vaunted Yankees offense again that Sean Casey was going to fix. Well, they had 6 hits. 9-2 White Sox. The Angels at least have a pulse. They won their second in a row. Ohtani making some history, Mark. He did something that not even Babe Ruth has done. He's now had multiple seasons with 10 or more wins and 10 or more homers. And he's now the only one to ever have 10 or more wins and 40 homers in a season. So when we compared him to Babe Ruth, he's actually doing more than what Ruth did in some respects, at least as a pitcher, because they ended Ruth's pitching career pretty early. He was terrific, arguably better than Ohtani. They just didn't let him do it very long. Tigers beat the Twins 9-5, so their lead over the Guardians remains 4.5. All right, big win for the Marlins. I know nobody cares. They'll have 9,600 at their next game. Mark, Josh Bell, what's more impressive? The no-hitter from Michael Lorenzen or what Josh Bell did yesterday? He homered from each side of the plate.
Both of them were opposite field shots, too, which the irony of that, I think, is pretty fun. The no-hitter, but it's close.
I mean, think about how
Bell said after the game, David, the last time that he did that, he was 11. I mean, they interviewed him after the game, and he's like, he was a bucket list item. It was the win's more important, but it was a bucket list item for me. I hadn't done this since I was 11.
I believe he homered batting left-handed in the second inning, and then they were down 4-1 in the eighth, and he had a 3-run homer to tie it. And then Brian De La Cruz with a solo homer in the ninth. Robertson shut it down. And with the Marlins win over the Reds and the Mets win over the Cubs, Pete Alonso's on a tear. Another homer. He's got 35. 4-3 Mets. If the playoffs started today, guess who'd be the 6th seed? Felipe's Miami Marlins.
Yes!
They would play the Brewers because the Brewers right now are leading the Central. They beat Colorado in 10 innings, 7-6. Milwaukee, with the Cubs and Reds both losing, now have a 2.5 game lead in the Central. Texas saw their 8-game winning streak snap 2-0 by Oakland. So with Houston winning and Texas losing, the Rangers lead is down to 2. The Dodgers lead is up to 6. They shut out Arizona 2-0. Peralta with a 2-run single in the 8th to beat his old team. That's the 8th straight loss for my Diamondbacks, who are now below 500. All I need him to do is win 75 games for the over. 75. And they're threatening very hard to have an epic collapse and not even do that.
David, I believe they're going to make you sweat until the last week of the season. I think you win your bet, but I think it is going to be eerily close.
Well, I better win the bet because the money's already spent. By the way, Ohtani pitching Angels to a 4-1 win over the Giants. The Giants are now the 5 seed. Angels back to 500. Braves, thanks to an overturned call in the 8th. They had a run called out at the plate in the 8th. They said, no, take a look at that. And it turns out he was safe. Braves 6, Pirates 5. So there. College football. Stanford and Cal, ACC seriously thinking about it. As of last night, significant roadblocks remained for the ACC to bring them in. Notre Dame reportedly pushing very hard for this to happen. SMU has made the ACC an offer. You don't have to pay us any money for 5 years. We'll bankroll ourselves. We're good. Just take us, please. Ohio State AD Gene Smith is going to retire at the end of this school year. He's been on the job since March of 2005. For those of you that care, this could be a really good thing for Big Ten baseball. Gene Smith has been very anti-Big Ten playing baseball, hiring additional coaches, scholarships, or what have you. And when the Ohio State or Michigan AD is really hell-bent on something, that thing usually happens or doesn't happen. So if you care about Big Ten baseball, it's probably a good day. Texas A&M, by the way, their whole 12th Man Foundation, their NIL arm, yeah, that thing's done. And boy, the Northwestern president's not happy.
Well, he shouldn't be. Did you see what the coaches are wearing?
Some of the football coaches are wearing T-shirts at practice that read "Cats Against the World," and they happen to have Pat Fitzgerald's number 51 on them. Okay, the AD calling it inappropriate, offensive, and tone deaf. By the way, they've been wearing these shirts for 2 weeks. Okay, but only now did a picture get out. Where are we? NFL preseason tonight. Houston, New England at 7, Minnesota, Seattle at 10. Both games are on NFL Network, and you can bet them both. Houston and Seattle are both 3.5-point favorites. Henry Ruggs is 24 years old. We haven't seen or heard much from him since in November of 21. He got really drunk and drove really fast and killed someone in Vegas. He was sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison yesterday. Minimum of 3, as much as 10. Ruggs is 24. The Bills Stadium is already facing $300 million in cost overruns.
It's a little early for that, isn't it?
It's really early for that. Hell, I thought they broke ground like yesterday.
Right.
Wow. Kareem Hunt left Indianapolis without a deal. So let me get this straight. He was in New Orleans. They wanted to sign him. The Colts called his agent and said, "Don't sign. We'll offer more money." Okay. So he left. He went to Indianapolis, worked out, physical, the whole deal. It's like, okay, we're ready to sign. You know the price. Colts said, "Well, we're not going to pay for that." And Kareem said, "Well, then I'm out of here." And Arizona running back Marlon Mack, they signed him last Friday. Yeah, he tore his Achilles yesterday. This is the second time he's done that. All right. He tore his left Achilles this time. 3 years ago, he tore his right one. He's out for the year. Golf. First off, the FedEx Cup begins today. And I will say it begins in Memphis at the St. Jude Classic. This has always been a throwaway summer event. Not the best of fields. Got to go really, really low to win. And they made it the first tournament in the 3-tournament playoff. Wow. That's a hell of a move by the PGA Tour. So obviously they're getting a great field. Apparently John Rahm's getting his
porta potties.
Yeah. So from now on, okay, when you're walking down the fairway and they say, "Where are you going?" Instead of going to the John, are you going to the
Rahm?
To the Rahm.
Got to take a Rahm.
Yep. Be right back. Where are you going? Going to the Rahm. You don't think they're going to be saying that for the next 10 years?
Nonstop.
Nonstop. By the way, Jay Monahan sighting yesterday. Yeah, he's still the commissioner of the PGA Tour, which is shocking in and of itself. He said, "Listen, our number one priority, we're going to negotiate this deal. We're going to hammer it out, get it done by the end of the year." Yep. Mm-hmm. The PGA of America announced that the Ryder Cup in 2025 is going to be at Bethpage in New York. Be a very quiet affair, no yelling, no heckling. You don't think they're going to bring up the porta potties for Rahm to you in a couple years? And
Rahm can't hold it.
Dun, 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 dun. Yep.
Something like that.
Exactly. And at 8 minutes before the hour, that was
the Starting Five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
Listen, I'm not picking on a guy when he's down, but if I was Jay Monahan, I would not have said that publicly yesterday for this reason. You need the Saudis' money, and you just put a deadline as to when it is you want the deal done. If you're the Saudi guy, don't you just sit there and keep saying no? No. No. And you just keep flipping the days on the old wall calendar there. Because every day you get closer to the end of the year, don't you gain more leverage? mean, Monahan just put a clock on this that basically, if he doesn't get this deal done by the end of the year, he has not done his job. I'm the Saudi guy. I'm like, oh, you'll get a deal at the end of the year, all right.
Well, the other side of this, though, is the Saudi guy may want to do the deal with Monahan because obviously Monahan cares more about the Saudi and the PIF money than he does his own tour.
Well, that is true.
I mean, he's done the tour a disservice over the last year and a half. So if I'm the PIF guy and I want my way, I might leave him in because I can get him to do whatever it is I need him to do.
Oh, no, I'm not calling for his removal. Oh, no.
No, but I'm just saying I'm going to get the deal done. I'm going to get the deal done with him. Sure, I'm going to get the deal done with Monahan. I want Monahan there. More power Monahan has, the more power we have. Remove Jay Monahan, I might not have the same power that I have right now.
Monahan also said that the reason that I took a few weeks off was all the stress. That basically I needed some time away. Don't we all? Miller and Moulton. Pat Kirwan in 45 minutes.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
What do you want to talk about here?
Um,
Want to talk about scrimmages? Are you buying any of the news coming out of them? Want to talk this ACC thing?
I think the ACC thing.
Okay.
We got the Dolphins coming up at 8, and Waddle got, he left practice yesterday. We didn't really mention that.
Right. Which one went to Vegas to be by Ruggs' side? Was that Devontae? The Eagles? One of those Bama receivers.
Well, no, Waddle got hurt in practice, so what was it?
Yeah. I didn't know if that the days are. I didn't know if that was Tuesday or yesterday.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Thursday. Thanks so much for being with us. Magic number 16, 21, and 28. 2 weeks from Saturday, college football season kicks off. If about a dozen games, one of them involving Notre Dame, one of them involving USC, is enough for you. 3 weeks tonight, the Gators in Utah, UCF, member of the Big 12, playing Kent State. 4 weeks tonight, Lions and Chiefs. The NFL season getting underway. Preseason football officially gets underway tonight with a couple of games. That Hall of Fame game's kind of an outlier. Now everybody else is allowed to participate beginning tonight.
Now we get football damn near every day.
Yeah. Yeah. NFL Network doubleheader tonight. Oh, they're so excited. So, Notre Dame gets a vote. So there are 15 votes in the ACC, the 14 actual members in Notre Dame. And apparently you need 75% to get anything done. Well, that means you really need 80% because you need 12 out of 15. 11 out of 15 doesn't reach the threshold. So you got to get 12. So 3 no votes or 4 no votes can shut everything down.
And don't you think a Notre Dame yes vote and being adamant about something gets you 2 no votes right off the bat? I'm not even being flippant. Oh, Notre Dame wants this, huh? Well, I'm against it. I mean, right off the hop.
Well, reportedly, the Florida State president said to Notre Dame what we joked about last hour, that he said, you want it, I'll vote for it. Join the conference. You're in it in every sport except football and hockey. We don't play hockey, so
we'll let you play your Big Ten hockey. That's cute.
Yeah,
knock yourself out.
But you want Stanford and Cal? Hell, anybody else you want? Yeah, okay, we'll do it. You got to join the club though. Yep, got to wear the varsity jacket and everything. We'll even put you in the middle of the team picture. I mean, we can have your jacket have like the double shoulder pads, so you look like the biggest, baddest, guy in the room if you want. Sure. You can even decide which schools stand on either side of you. If there's somebody you don't like, we'll put them on the end. That's fine.
But we don't just put a basketball in your hands. We put a football in your hands.
Right.
That's the key. At the end of the day, that's the key.
Right.
Are you with us or not?
Not kind of with us, not almost with us. And by the way, who gave you a full vote? Once again, I'll give you 2 votes. I really will. And I'll make sure we have an even number of schools where essentially you can break any damn tie. What's the vote? 8-7 against. Well, I haven't voted twice yet. I'm voting for it. It wins 9-8. Okay. Good to be the king or the Irish. But you got to join. So let me get this straight. So we got Notre Dame in the room, and like you said, there's already a few schools that are like, hey, really? Just tell them to shut up already. And then you got the Florida State guy that at least half the room is like,
although the whole room loved it when he said, sure, join the conference.
Right.
There's a few of them that are mad at Florida State, kicking the guy next to him under the table going, yeah, that's it.
Do you think this is like that thing they got going on in England? Okay, you know, when the one side speaks and the other side goes, you know, you got the Whigs and the whatever, you know, the Tories. I don't know. But anyway, that's kind of what I envision is going on now in the ACC meeting. It's time for the Florida State president to speak. Notre Dame wants us to take in Cal and Stanford, then join the conference. Yeah!
Would be better. Trust me, if they were like that, that would be outstanding.
I mean, what did the ACC network have for programming last night? I would have aired this sucker. I really would have. Anyway. Yeah, to be serious for a second, how much is Notre Dame worth? I mean, if you think about it, Notre Dame gets $22 million from NBC for 7 football games. Now, they're asking for 75. Okay, let's just go with 75. So say you're ESPN. How much? Okay, let's just say the pipe dream, Notre Dame joins the conference. You've got right of first refusal here. Okay, how much more do I have to pay for Notre Dame? Hell, they only asked for 75. So is that all I have to give? Because if you think about it, that ain't going to help the Florida State Clemson problem. I mean, you know, if Notre Dame could be the salvation for the ACC here, they got to bring like 200 million extra. They got to we're tearing this sucker up. This is an entirely new contract. This contract's outdated.
And it has to be multiple networks.
Well, then you got to get ESPN to agree to that. I mean, right now they've got exclusive.
I understand that, but you had Notre Dame, that contract's going to get ripped up, and whether or not ESPN can come up with the bucks to do it, we don't know. That contract goes away if Notre Dame joins the conference.
It does. But how much extra do you think they make? I mean, do you think Notre Dame can double the TV deal?
I think that seems reasonable because the TV deal's bad.
It's $240 million a year divvied up amongst the 14 schools. That's 17 and change per school. Now there's extra revenue that comes into the fold. That's why every ACC school gets about $30 million. But from the main ESPN TV deal, they get 17, which is the lowest of all the conference's main TV deals. Now, obviously, if we're just doing the math, if Notre Dame were to join and we could double this sucker, because the other thing the ACC could argue is, come on, we did this deal nearly 10 years ago. Rates have gone up wildly. I mean, you've got a steal. I mean, that's part of the reason CBS lost the SEC. The SEC wanted CBS on multiple occasions. I mean, they signed like a 15-year contract, and an hour into it, okay, the product was underpaid for. And the SEC a few times was like, hey, come on, you know you're getting a steal here. Why don't you throw us some extra money? We'll tear this deal up. And CBS said, no, we're good. $55 million a year for the SEC. We're good. And they're like, come on. And you don't think the SEC remembered that? When they signed with ESPN, I don't know, 4 years before the deal was done? As if to say to CBS, you didn't want to give us the extra money. We ain't sticking around.
But if ESPN didn't double it and they had the ability to go to multiple networks, I think they could double their TV deal with Notre Dame without a problem. I do.
But the problem is that Notre Dame, once again, it's funny. Notre Dame really wants to save the ACC. Why? So they can stay independent.
It's the truest thing you've ever said. Notre Dame needs the ACC. Right now, maybe more than the ACC needs Notre Dame.
Yes. You could argue it because let's just take this down. What if the ACC begins to fall apart? And we'll say it again. If you want out of the ACC in a year, you have to leave by Tuesday of next week. Tuesday's a big day next week. You got to announce you're leaving the ACC, and it's our fantasy football summit. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com and sign up. But if the ACC were to, oh no, it looks like it's crumbling. I mean, what's Notre Dame going to do? Where are they going to go?
Because the Big Ten would never, I don't believe, David, ever let him in as this non-football partial member. They're letting him in for hockey. The Big Ten hockey is a joke. I mean, that's just was to appease the Big Ten network. It's the only reason it even happened. And hockey doesn't matter as a NCAA sport. So just throw that away. But they're not letting him in the basketball. They're not letting him in for basketball. They're just not going to do it.
You know, DC in our Twitch chat room, NBC is not going to lose Notre Dame over $50 million a year. Maybe. I mean, when you're paying 22, I mean, you're going to pay 75. It's 7 games. One of them's against Tennessee State. No, honestly, let's look at the games at your NBC that you get. These are $10 million football games. Now, they host Ohio State this year. You know, that's a $15 to $20 million game.
Here is the Notre Dame home schedule, everyone. Navy, Tennessee State, Central Michigan. Then the next 2 are monsters, the Buckeyes and USC.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Right. Then Pitt, another nice game, and you finish with Wake Forest.
Okay. That's those games worth $10 million a game. Now, I will say Ohio State, USC, you get USC every other year. And, you know, you're lucky if you get Ohio State once every 10 years. But that's a monster. For this year, it'd be worth it. Because on the Ohio State and USC games, you could go, well, yeah, we could damn near break even. We could argue those are $40, $50 million football games. The thought was, by the way, if the SEC championship was ever an isolated game and it was put up for bid, that they would bid about $100 million is what they would get just for the SEC title. 75 to 100 million just for that game. Well, that game does between a 10 and a 14 rating. Notre Dame, Ohio State in prime time, late September, you know, that's going to do a 7. Because it's actually going to be up against 3 other college football games. So, you know, do the math accordingly. That's a $50 million game to NBC. For this year, they would gladly pay the going rate. But back to the Notre Dame needs the ACC to stick around because they got 20 other sports. And they do get 5 of their 12 games scheduled against ACC teams. I mean, they really do need the conference, but we don't want to join.
We'll give you 5. We're not going to give you 8 or 9. We've got teams to play. We've got things we've got to do here.
I know. That's the other thing. It's like, listen, what if we agree to only play 8 games? You're not going to join over 3 games? 3 games. We'll give you your money. Listen, you and I have always thought that these conferences should play hardball, give them an ultimatum. You know, join or you're out. No
and
game.
The ACC may not have a choice at this point. They may have to give the ultimatum to save their own conference. And the irony is, as we pointed out, Notre Dame needs the ACC to stay independent.
Heading into the next segment, ponder this. If the ACC could get Notre Dame, if you're Florida State, do you now stay?
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Myers.
It's time for Dr. Roto's yearly house call. Tuesday, August 15th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe in Fort Myers. The second annual Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit, courtesy of the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. Dr. Roto will give you all the tips, secrets while answering your questions so you can win in fantasy football. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com. $50 gets you dinner, non-alcoholic drinks, and Dr. Roto. Seating is limited. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com today.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Philly is just miserable this morning.
I could see where he would be.
They were popping champagne, drinking beers in the locker room after the no-hitter. That's incredible.
No, RCB.
Did you see Al Michaels yesterday?
Mm-mm.
So he does Outside the Lines with Jeremy Schaap. Jeremy brings up the Orioles announcer situation. And Al said, yeah, they should suspend the doofus that suspended Kevin Brown. Called the owner of the Orioles a doofus. That's good.
That is good.
Yeah. When you're Al Michaels, you can actually say whatever you want. You're 77.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Pat Kirwan to join us in a little more than 15 minutes time. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com. Sign up for our Fantasy Football Summit. It's Tuesday night, the 15th. It's in Fort Myers. Shula Show Sports Cafe in the Crown Plaza, Bell Tower Shops, dinner, Dr. Roto. All the info that you need to crush your fantasy draft, to be a terrific GM this year. He's one of the very best at fantasy football in the country. Statistically, over the last 10 plus years, top 20 in the country, fantasy football documented. We're bringing him to you and we're feeding you. floridasportsnetwork.com, Tuesday night. Hope to see you there.
David, double stuffed gaining momentum. Nearly 45% of the vote now. They are coming on strong. Regular looking like the Arizona Diamondbacks. Out to an early lead. Can't seem to get a win in the second half.
How do you like your Oreos? That's our poll question. Double stuffed or regular?
It came at the end of the show yesterday when I just simply said I like a regular Oreo better than a double stuff. And you would have thought I was a communist, according to one David Moulton.
I threatened to dissolve the show. Didn't know if our relationship could handle this disagreement. Well, I knew our relationship could. I just didn't know if the show could. So it's our poll question. This is one of the few I really want to win.
And I expected to lose. I feel that this is an upset in the makings. Feel like UMBC right now, like a 16 seed that's at halftime with the lead.
Let's not get crazy. This isn't a 116 matchup. But I thought that it was at least a 4-13, maybe a 3-14 matchup. I really did. I'm very confident, overconfident. I was probably Fran McCaffrey in Iowa in the tournament. And, you never bet on Fran McCaffrey in Iowa in the tournament. Big Ten tournament, yes. NCAA tournament, no. So I'm throwing a tantrum like Fran McCaffrey would late first half. We're down 12, and I don't understand it at all.
You're about to stare down an official.
Yep.
Could get ugly at any moment.
Yes. So go to floridasportsnetwork.com, that Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter or X or whatever you're calling it, and vote. Hey, we asked the question, and it's a hypothetical, but reportedly the Florida State president looked at the Notre Dame president at the ACC meeting last night and said, you join the conference, I'll vote for whatever you want. Being serious for a moment. If you're Florida State and you're hell-bent on leaving, you are spending every waking moment thinking about leaving, planning to leave. How are we going to do this? Plotting with Clemson and any other schools that you can get to leave, to dissolve this conference or get out of your grant of rights or come up with the money, whatever. And now all of a sudden Notre Dame, if they were to be boxed in, whatever the reason, forced to join the ACC, if you're Florida State now, do you go, huh?
It would certainly cause me to pause, David, because I think ultimately Florida State would still want to leave if they have this signed piece of paper that we're talking about. Because if they actually think they have a deal with the Big Ten or the SEC, then go. But if they're just trying to force their way in, this may be a better alternative than taking the step out on the independent waters, if you know what I mean.
Greg Sankey made it sound with his words and his tone on Paul Feinbaum 2 days ago. He made it sound as if, A, we're not looking to expand. Take a commissioner with a grain of salt. B, we're not against expanding, however, but we ain't giving back any money, if you know what I mean. All our current member schools ain't going to suffer a cut in the pie. So whoever's joining, ESPN's got to be willing to pay the full rate. And he kind of left it out there, Mark, as if to say, well, you know the schools that you're bantying about joining our conference. You think ESPN pay full price for them? And you and I both think Florida State and Clemson have real value. They've got brands.
They've got brands, and the other side of it is, I believe, and I think you're with me, David, that ESPN does not want to lose these two schools to Fox. It's why I think the Big Ten's been more in play than most. And I don't think ultimately that Florida State and Clemson are going to the Big Ten. But I could see where Fox TV would look at it and go, we can get into Florida, we can get into Clemson, and really stick it to the SEC here. And I think that would scare the SEC a little bit.
I think ESPN, though, is going, come on, this is poker. The Big Ten's not really interested in them. Okay? They're not. And we don't think they'd be willing to accept the Oregon-Washington deal where they get half the money for 3 to 5 years before they get a full share, or they get half the money for 7 years and they don't get a full share until the next TV deal. We don't think they'd accept that, especially since they'd likely face lawsuits totaling hundreds of millions of dollars for leaving. They would need to be guaranteed a full share, blah, blah, blah. So if you're ESPN, you're like, don't give me the whole threat of Fox seriously. Now, the minute you think that becomes a serious threat, you're paying the full rate. Mark, you're completely right. They do not want to see Florida State and Clemson on Fox. No question about it. But I don't think they take that threat seriously. And that's why I don't think they're willing to pay the full rate, because they don't think they have to. And they got Sankey in their corner going, yeah, it makes no difference to us. In fact, I'd really rather not have them.
21,000 is the text line. FSU fan, where do you want to go? Where do you think you're going to go? And if Notre Dame were to join the ACC, would that be enough for you to stay? 21,000 is the text line. 21000. Time now for our play of the day. Felipe, what do you have for us?
Well, it was the subject of our first segment in the first hour, but Michael Lorenzen with the 14th no-hitter in Phillies history.
Outfield shaded to the opposite field against the lefty Smith. The 3-2 pitch, swing and a high fly ball. Center field coming in is Rojas. He's calling. He has got it. Yeah. Lorenzen leaps into the arms of Real Muto, and the Phillies pile out of the dugout. In front of the mound, they celebrate a no-hitter tonight by Michael Lorenzen in his second start as a Philly.
Struck out 5 through 124 pitches, and Michael Lorenzen closes the no-hitter. Phillies win 7-0. When was the last time someone pitched 124 pitches in a game?
It's a dadgum good point.
Seems mystical in today's major league.
Last Phillies no-hitter was Cole Hamels 8 years ago. He threw 129 pitches. But yeah, $124. Nowadays, damn, that's a lot.
How much do you who was doing play-by-play there, David? Do you know?
I don't know the Phillies radio. I know Tom McCarthy does TV. I don't know who their radio voice is.
I love the fact that right as the balls hit the color guy, yes, just ruins the no-hit. It's the only thing that I took from that. I'm listening to that call and going, thanks, color guy. Way to go. Way to let me build the drama on that final out of a no-hitter. Right when the crack of the bat, you yell yes. I'd have slapped him right in the back of his head.
Probably would have been a fireable offense if he would have dropped the ball.
Well, it wouldn't have been a hit, though. But you would have wondered how many more pitches does Lorenzen have in him. He kind of threw a 3-2 meatball in there to Smith. He got away with one. But Realmuto's, by the way, second no-hitter. He caught one with the Marlins 6 years ago. So, it's a cool thing for a catcher, too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's amazing that he's got two. Miller and Moulton. We'll switch gears. Go to camp with Pat Kirwan. That's next, right here on the Florida Sports Network.
It's time for Dr. Roto's yearly house call, Tuesday, August 15th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe in Fort Myers. The second annual Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit, courtesy of the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. Dr. Roto will give you all the tips, secrets, while answering your questions so you can win in fantasy football. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com. $50 gets you dinner, non-alcoholic drinks, and Dr. Roto. Seating is limited. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com today.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Myers.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
124 pitches, most by any pitchers in a game this season.
Say that again.
That's the most pitches thrown in a game this season.
Yeah. 124.
J-Load. Hops. J-Load was my favorite. Thank you, Wes. That's the Larry Anderson who pitched for the Phillies? Well, he would be the color guy, right? Scott Franzyke would be the play-by-play guy?
Hey, Pat.
This is weird.
I don't get it, Pat. We can't hear you. Now you muted yourself. Unmute.
Yeah, Pat, we don't hear you at all.
I don't get it. It sucks because this is such a good connection when we have you on this. All right. Have to disconnect. We'll have Felipe call you.
It's got to be something. It's definitely something on this end.
No, Heidi's dead. We did not talk about it.
Go ahead and disconnect that, Pat, because that's why we got the echo last time. Crap. Go ahead and call him, Felipe. I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird because we've obviously other links are working.
Right. You can just put them on hold. You don't need to put them through. We could probably get Alejandro too for Dolphins once in a while because he's doing pre and post. I just saw his name and forgot all about it.
The Heat guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he does Dolphins pre and post.
Part of that whole QAM thing?
Yeah.
Are they on QAM?
The Heat?
No, the Dolphins.
Oh, yeah, I believe so. Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Tuesday night, the 15th, our Fantasy Football Summit. Sign up for it. Presented by the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. Do so by going to floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kirwan on the road again. When we talked to him last, he was in Baltimore. He hadn't seen the Ravens yet. He went to Baltimore, Tampa. This morning he wakes up in Jacksonville, yet to see the Jags. Pat joining us once again, courtesy of Pinchers. Good morning, Pat. Are you road weary, or are you like the rock and roll band that doesn't know what city they're in?
No, I'm the latter group. I don't know what day it is, but it's fun. I like being out. I like really studying the teams. I like talking to the coaches and some of the players. So no complaints from me. And Tampa was interesting. There's a team, they all have a little different twist. Here's a team that's going to have, I think, 4 2023 college free agents make the team. Now you could say, is that a bad sign or a good sign? I think they've found a couple of guys. And I think a lot of agents realize, here's a team in cap jail. My young guy can make this team. So I think they did a good job recruiting college free agents, and they're going to have a couple make it. So that's a little different than a lot of places. Do
you see Tampa as a true quarterback competition, Pat? Are they Are they both fighting for the job, or is this Baker's job to lose?
They are really splitting the reps, which I don't like, honestly. And I brought that up to the GM, Jason, and to the head coach. I said, how long can you keep this going as an even battle? Because you're hurting whoever lands up winning the job first. And it looks like if I was betting on this, I'd say Baker is experienced. He was interesting to talk to. I've interviewed Baker face-to-face many times. He's definitely grown up, and he's not edgy, and he's not that little chip on his shoulder. I think the guy just has been burned enough and then has enough success at the Rams that he's confident in himself. And I will say this. The reason besides getting more reps, is you got to decide, because they're different players. When you play with Baker, you're playing the bootleg game, the scramble game, all that stuff. And when you play with Trask, you're playing the pocket passer game. So it may not just be the quarterback. It may be what's around him that's going to make the guy win the job. I would think Baker's going to do it. That's my take. Yesterday, in the team period, ones-on-ones, Baker went 9 of 10. And the only one that wasn't complete, the tight end dropped. So, and he threw the 2 successful deep balls, which I didn't see Trask do.
And Jason Light, the GM, made reference to that, I believe, in an interview that you guys did with him, that Baker's been the better downfield thrower of the two. He's Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Moving the Chain, CBS's NFL Today show. He joins us courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, a dozen locations in between Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. You've been around Todd Bowles a lot. You've known him a long time. You're friendly with him. You knew him when he was the head coach of the Jets, and you were around him. Now he's the head coach of the Bucs. It's year 2, but it's without Brady and others looking over his shoulder. Does he and it feel different this time around?
Well, Bruce Arians is not around, and they think he's going to show up and be around, but he definitely, just a year ago, they were scrimmaging the Dolphins on the exact same days I was here for this year's trip, and Bruce was on the field. Bruce was interacting with players. Bruce was talking to coaches. He was in the middle of it. He's not even on the grounds right now. And they didn't sound like they expected him anytime soon, although he could pop in. But so Todd, to me, has figured out how to be the head coach. It's interesting. The last time I spoke to him, I said, how much interaction does Bruce have with you and the offense and everything else? And he said, I'm the head coach here. I'm making all the decisions. He was really sharp and clear about that. So I think he's got some freedom there. But at the end of the day, I think there are people thinking the clock's ticking on Todd, and it's unfair to think that you'd let him go at the end of the season. He's going to do the right thing. He's going to play a lot of young guys. He's got a good defense. That's the other part of this thing. The division's kind of shaky, but his defense is pretty darn good. I think he has 9 starters back, and I watched them. They got a lot of, if they can keep everybody healthy, that's been one of their problems. But I think if I were them, I would be satisfied with him and give him a 1 or 2 year bump on his deal, and put to rest that he might be out of here at the end of the season. That would be a mistake.
Pat, just, judging the first answer you said, I talked about the quarterbacks, and you said, one's a scrambler, one's a pocket passer, and you're leaning towards Baker. That leads me to believe you worry a lot about what this offensive line is. It was all banged up last year. Jensen's back. Is that the reason you think ultimately they should go with Baker, is that this offensive line probably can't perform for a pocket passer as well?
Well, the first thing is Jensen's really not back. He's not, I didn't see him on the field, and they're taking kid gloves out with him to make sure that there's no setbacks. They're trying to hope he's ready for opening day. And if they don't have him, then we'll see our friend Hainsey again, who played over 1,100 snaps last year. But they do need him back for sure. Mox, the kid they drafted, Cody, he's having a very nice camp. And I asked Jason, and I said, who's he reminding of? And he said a bit like Ali Marpet. But then I asked Levante about that. He said, nah, he's not like Ali Marpet. He's way more physical, and I think he rumbles with the linebackers a lot. So they've got a guy in there that's pretty interesting and pretty physical. So I like them on the bootleg stuff. The pocket, you never know because you don't touch the quarterbacks. But I think you're going to see a lot of Trask a week from now. You might see some of them this week, and we'll see if the line holds up. They didn't look to me like they were a problem, but you never know until Trask gets flushed out of the pocket. And we all know what happens with pocket passers, and they'll go after him. It'd be interesting. I wish they won't do it, a little bit live with their own team, because Todd Bowles is a blitzing maniac, and he would probably be inclined to go after his quarterback.
Do they have a pass rush? They've spent a couple of first-round picks, even though they were late first-round picks, on guys who have not panned out at all. For as much as I bang on the Bills' first-round picks, who I think have underachieved, the Bucs' first-round picks have underachieved far more. They just took another defensive lineman in Kalijah Cansey. I mean, is there a pass rush there without blitzing?
Well, they only had Shaq Barrett for 382 plays last year. And Shaq Barrett is the guy that they would run protection to, that sets up everything. Todd Bowles, if you told Todd, hey, they're going to slide the protection to Shaq Barrett, well, he didn't have Shaq. But if he knew that, then all of a sudden he sets up all the pressure games. Talking to Winfield about that, he goes, every one of us has a blitz assignment, and some of us multiple ways. So I think if Shaq Barrett's back on the field, that would set protection. Kalijah Cansey has got a calf. If I had seen one calf injury, I've seen 20 of them on this tour. It's kind of an interesting injury this year. But they think at 290 pounds, he's going to be effective, I suppose. Tryon's the guy that has got to play better and do more. That's the first thing that they need from him. The front, they're okay, but it's about pressure, and it's really about having Shaq Barrett available. But as I look at them, because as soon as he's there, then they can figure out what to do with pressure calls.
I know you haven't seen Jacksonville yet. You're going there today, but what are your questions heading into Jags camp, Pat?
Yeah, I got a couple. Well, first off, on a good note, I always start with the roster, and I look for, okay, let's go back and look at last year and how many things were they forced into doing. And this is the team that has the highest number of players that were available for 17 games. We got a lot of teams that have 6 available guys, 5 available guys. This team had 20 players that were available for all 17 games, and 15 of them were starters. So that's good in one sense. You know that they stayed healthy. I don't know if you can keep doing that. But then you have to ask yourself, okay, why was the defense not very good, ranked in the high 20s in almost every critical category, and except turnovers? And then they didn't really go out and get anybody. So whatever they think, all these guys are healthy. They played everybody a lot. And all of a sudden you go, well, most of the GMs I know, if your team's ranked in the high 20s in all the defensive critical categories, you're going to go out and overhaul it. They think they're going to be able to go with what they've got, which today I'll spend most of my time on defense. The offense is cooking on a lot of cylinders, and they got a lot of good things going on. Doug Peterson is terrific with them, but that's my focus, Mark. What is this defense? I think they're good enough to win their division, but how far can they go? That'll be the next question. I'll try to draw some conclusions about the defense today.
Tuesday, you were in Baltimore. You got your first look at Lamar in a Todd Monken offense instead of a Greg Roman offense. What did you see?
I see Greg Roman's offense coming back under different names because at the end of the day, this team is going to win when Lamar runs. And he ran in a 2-minute drill again. Last year I was here for a full-blown 2-minute drill that went up and down the field for about a half hour. I had a chance to see it again. He's throwing the ball, but at the end of the day, his serious weapon is escape and go. And I don't think that's going to change very much. Odell, I will say this, very healthy, looked very good. He's a go-to guy for him. He made 2 ridiculously great catches. One of them was basically Lamar overthrew him, and he had a burst and close to the ball, laid out and got it. So he made an incompletion a completion. And then on a quick out, he had a corner bracketing with a safety on him, and he made both of them miss him. So it was fun to see that part. And I think Lamar will have a bit of a go-to guy there, so that's going to help. But Lamar's feet are get triggered pretty quickly. And he knows he's successful at doing it. I had a lot of fun talking with him. You know what he calls me? He calls me Mr. Pat. I go, would you drop the Mr.? He goes, no, man, out of respect for you and Jim, Mr. Pat. So maybe it's the gray hair, but that's what he calls me.
That's cool.
Is OBJ going to be satisfied with the number of targets? Is he going to get enough targets to be happy all year there?
Sure. You know why? Because Hollywood Brown had way over 100 targets. You know, when he said he didn't want to stay here because the offense wasn't good for him. Go back and look at his targets. I know David looks all that stuff up at times. He had a ridiculous amount of targets, so I don't know what he was complaining about. And I would say if Lamar was willing to throw to his old Pop Warner teammate, Hollywood Brown, he'll throw to this guy. And I saw it in that 2-minute drill. He really knows that the guy is going to get open. And he also is pretty good on the short stuff. So, yeah, I think he'll get 100 targets. That would be my guess on that.
Well, what are we to think of them, Pat? I mean, they outplayed the Bengals in a playoff game without Lamar at quarterback. I mean, what the Bengals did to the Bills the next week is really what the Ravens did to the Bengals. They just fumbled at the goal line and it got returned for a touchdown. I mean, there are times when this is a really good, dangerous team, and then they get in their way the last 2 years, and Lamar's gotten hurt both years. I mean, what are we to conclude about them?
Here's my conclusion. If Lamar plays all 17 games, they'll win 11 and win the division. If Lamar misses 3 or 4 games, they'll be a wild card. If he misses 5 games, they won't make the playoffs.
Well, last 2 years, he's missed 5 or more, and, you know, they snuck in 1 year and didn't make it the next. He's Pat Kirwan.
It's built around the guy, and now with the contract, they're not going anywhere. And this, you know, the coordinator is going to figure out pretty quickly. This is the Lamar show.
You're headed west, right?
Yes, Vegas tonight. Coming out of Jacksonville, I think we're going to stop in Dallas and then over to Vegas to see the Raiders. So, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing them. I don't suspect they're going to look very good, but we'll find out when we get there. Keep an open mind to that one.
All right, Pat. Well, enjoy the rest of Jags camp today. Have a safe travel out west, and hopefully we'll catch up with you next week.
You know, Mark, you never volunteered to come with me on this trip.
Vegas? Send me the plane ticket. I'll carry your bags, Pat. I'm in.
Okay. I will. I make a note of that for next year. You're going to Vegas.
I'm in.
Hey, David, do you think I could ever get him to practice on time?
Guaranteed.
In Vegas? Absolutely. I think he'd be like clockwork in Vegas. I really do.
Good. Well, you're coming, Mark. It'll be our first road trip together.
I love it. I love it.
Niners camp, no chance. Raiders camp, he'll be right by your side.
Oh, I picked the one I thought was appealing to him. Trust me.
I love it. Be safe, Pat. Thanks.
Be good, guys.
Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's moving the chains. They move the show around with the training camp tours at times. It usually airs 3 to 7. These are 2 to 3 hour shows during camp. Sometimes they air 2 to 4. Sometimes it's 4 to 6. But Pat, moving the chains, NFL Radio, and CBS's NFL Today show, heading out to Vegas, which is where the Super Bowl will be, which is where Pat and CBS will be in about 6 months.
He has higher thoughts on the Bucs than I thought he would. I mean, he seems more a glass half full with Tampa than I think a lot of people are. It will be interesting. That is a division that still is for the taking for anyone. And can Tampa somehow find a way to be the one doing the taking? Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Myers.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I'll tell you what, these pictures out of Hawaii.
I know. I think that's is that the city on the other end of the island, the small city, or is that, I'm not really sure, because I got a buddy who's got a place in Maui. I didn't text him yesterday. Dealing with another thing. Old friend of mine found out yesterday if he's not dead yet, he's dying.
It's the heart of the community that hosts the Maui Basketball Classic.
Okay.
Lahaina. So Lahana.
I think it's Lahana, but I'm not positive.
Man, that's the stuff we didn't think we'd see in Hawaii. You know, fortunately, we've seen it in the West. But Felipe, I'm pronouncing his last name Bearman. So if when you talk to him, you find out it's different.
I will confirm right now.
But I'm pronouncing it almost the way it's spelled. It's pronounced spelled Bearman. I'm going to pronounce it Bearman. Bearman.
Bearman sounds right, but I'll make sure right now.
Thank you. My buddy says Lahane is on the west side, just south of Kampala. Or no, And he said, no, just south of Kapalua. Sorry. I've never been, so I don't know.
Neither have I.
So David Bearman has been focusing on the Dolphins.
Right.
About the pronunciation, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Thank you. Adam Zay Flowers is expected to start. Apparently, he's having a good camp.
Bearman.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And just like that, third and final hour of Miller and Moulton on this Thursday. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Go to the website, download anything you missed, like our interview with Pat Kirwan of NFL Radio last hour. Also, while you're there, vote in our poll question. How do you like your Oreos, double stuffed or regular? And while you're at it, if you haven't signed up yet, signed up for the Fantasy Football Summit, Tuesday night, the 15th, dinner and Dr. Roto. Mark, he is board certified. Huh? I can do these puns too, you know.
Well, David, it's your prescription to win your fantasy league.
Okay, it's time to move on. David Bearman is Chief Content Officer with Pro Football Network, PFN.com. Follow David on Twitter, David Bearman, BARMAN PFN. Bearman PFN is how it is spelled out. And he joins us now for the first time. David, it's David and Mark. Thanks for doing this. How are you?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Doing well. And by the way, my answer would be double stuffed Oreos. Gotta go double.
Yes!
Always double stuffed.
Yes! The two Davids are doubling up on Mark and Felipe so far. All right.
I'll take it a step further because my kids, 9-year-old and 6-year-old, absolutely love Oreos. I'll even go, you got to get the Halloween double stuffed Oreos. Go with the Halloween flavored one.
Wow. See, now you're going way off the beaten path and really messing with, and that might lead us right into it. How far off the beaten path are the Miami Dolphins going to have to go with this offensive line? There are battles. I mean, we actually have position battles going on. So many teams you walk into the season and we know exactly who's playing where. The Dolphins have legitimate position battles on the O-line going on, don't they?
They do, and it's the same old story every single year. We could have this conversation yearly, and the Dolphins' offensive line is not set, and that's an indictment on the team and what they've been trying to build. Obviously, the offense is good. They have wide receivers and running backs that are solid. You're getting with Tua when he's healthy, and the defense looks to be where it needs to be this time in the summer. But it goes right back to that offensive line. There are position battles, and it starts right there at the left guard with Liam Eichelberg, who has not shown much this camp, a continuation of the struggles last year, and if he doesn't, protect himself, Isaiah Wynn might just steal that job before the first game of the season.
Listen, is it time to bring in new personnel? Which I know it's a little late, should have been done in the offseason, but instead of spending the money on Dalvin Cook, I mean, is it time to go take somebody else's starting lineman off somebody's hands? Is it time to call the Cowboys up and say, we'll give you our second round pick next year or a first rounder in 25 for Zach Martin and end the holdout? I mean, come on, David, if this is a Super Bowl contender, but the line is holding them back, then fix the damn line.
I agree with you, and I would say that we'll see what happens tomorrow night with the first preseason game against an Atlanta Falcons team that doesn't exactly have the best defensive line in football. You're talking about a team whose defense ranked 25 to 28, depending on what metric you look at, especially the defensive line. So if that offensive line for the Dolphins can't hold up against Atlanta tomorrow night, you're not going to get Atlanta starters the whole night, so you'll see exactly what they're about. you might be right, Mark and David. You might have to go out there and make a trade or spend some money instead of Dalvin Cook. Let's call it what it is. You really don't need a A-type ball-carrying running back like Dalvin Cook nowadays in the NFL, as we have seen teams going away from that and going to the timeshares. The Dolphins have 4 capable running backs in the backfield that they can split around in Mike McDaniel's offense. McDaniel's offense has never been built to have a power running back that takes 30 carries a game. So, I mean, I would love to have Dalvin Cook personally, but are we really saying that that's the weakness? No, the weakness is the offensive line. And when you look at it, you have Armstead. Armstead is the anchor to that line. He's the best they have, but he also doesn't play 17 games a year. He never has and probably never will, but that is your anchor of the line. You need help around him to keep Tua upright, because we know the problem. Tua's injury prone. Takes another hit, you never know what happens. The most important thing for that team is to keep him upright. And right now, the only way to keep him upright is to have 2- and 3-step drops, and that's just not good enough in the long floor. That's not sustainable.
Well, and the other side of this, David, is are they going to be, they wanted to run the ball more. Part of being able to run the ball is being able to block. Can this offensive line run block at all to take that pressure off of Tua?
That is the million-dollar question. I have more confidence in them being able to run block than actually pass block. We've seen that the last couple of years where Tua's been running for his life, and even preceding Tua, before him, every quarterback they've had been running for their life. And that was kind of the thing that you tried to defend Tua his first 2 years in the league was, well, he has nobody blocking for him, so he doesn't have much time. Last year was better. Call it what it is. They were better last year, but camp so far this year has shown that they have not progressed to the point of where they need to progress to in the next iteration of the line. I mean, you have some guys like Austin Jackson and Eichelberger. We're now talking their 3rd year in the league. You've got to show a little bit of improvement. And Robert Hunt, he's been solid. He'll be there for the next 10 years. Hopefully Armstead stays healthy. But really, the rest of the line, Connor Williams is going to be your center, fine. But that's not an A-plus type guy there. So what are you going to do about the rest of the line? And it's not like they have a lot behind them either in terms of depth chart. Sure, Isaiah Wynn might win the job. Are you confident in Dan Feely as your backup center, Robert Jones, Tyler Kroft? You might be right. They might just have to go out and get more people. Because, by the way, we're talking about a fully healthy offensive line right now. What happens in week 7 and week 8 when you start getting banged up guys like is going to happen? Then what do you do if the depth is not there?
David Bearman, Pro Football Network, ProFootballNetwork.com. Follow him on Twitter, David Bearman, PFN. David Bearman, Bearman. It's spelled Bearman. David Bearman, PFN, joining us here on Miller and Moulton. Is McDaniel getting the plays in faster? I mean, can we at least solve that problem? They were the slowest darn team in the league getting plays in last year.
Yeah, I was talking to Adam Beasley, who's our main Dolphins beat writer for Pro Football Network. He has said that McDaniel and the team are working on specific ways to get plays in faster. That definitely was an underrated problem last year. And look no further than the playoff game against the Bills, which, they basically ran out of time at the end. That was a game that the Dolphins rallied and were within 3 points of knocking off the Buffalo Bills with a third-string quarterback. And the problem that you thought would be the quarterback situation wasn't. It was delay of games, not getting plays in, wasting timeouts when you need them. And, keep in mind, he was a rookie head coach. That was his first year actually running not only play calling, but running the entire franchise overall in terms of what you're doing on the field. So you got to hope that there's improvement in year 2. You give somebody, it's your rookie year. Everyone talks about rookies on the field. It was a rookie on the sideline. So hopefully, and speaking with Adam, he said that the team has said that they're working on it. You got to get the plays in faster because you cannot give that team only 10 seconds to organize a play. Eventually, you want Tua to be able to get up there and audible and change the offense when he needs to. But if you're getting the plays in too late, that's not good for anybody, as we saw in the playoff game last year and with the amount of wasted timeouts they've had.
Tyreek Hill wants 2,000 yards. If he gets it, is that actually a good thing for the Dolphins?
It depends how you look at it. What's the rest of the team doing?
Well,
I think last year, it really depends on how. I mean, if they throw for 6,000 yards as a team, then 2,000, yes. But if he has 90% of the catch share, then no. The offense did go through Tyreek Hill last year, but they do got to get other people involved. I still think he can get 2,000 yards, but it really depends on what the rest of the offense is doing overall. I mean, if this is a record-breaking offense for the Dolphins, then fine. if they get 2,000 yards for one guy and that's 80 to 90% of the offense, then you have a problem.
How much are they going to use this rookie out of Texas A&M, who may be the fastest guy in the league? You know, the Lions drafted Gibbs where they did because they're apparently going to put him on the field 50 times a game. They're going to line him up in the slot. There's certainly not a linebacker in the league that can cover him. I mean, in theory, there's not a linebacker in the league who can run with this guy also. I mean, is he going to be somebody they're grooming for next year and the year after, or are they going to use him now?
I don't think they're going to use him too much as a pure running back, as a starter or second guy. I mean, you have the other running backs there, Mostert and Wilson, assuming they stay healthy. I think you're going to see him used in other capacities, in certain packages, bringing him in the slot, bringing him in as maybe a third down back out of the backfield to beat a linebacker out in the flat. I think that's what McDaniel has designed for him. You'll see him mixed in a lot. I don't think he's going to get a lion's share of the running back cherries just yet. Maybe he's groomed for the next couple of years. Where I expect to see him is mixed in with different packages, running in motion, taking a handoff from the slot position, and all of the little gimmicky type plays that McDaniel likes to run, which, by the way, I've stolen from my flag football team that I coach with my son. A lot of those plays were perfect in flag football. So I see him being used in that capacity. You know, remember last year you saw Cedric Wilson in that capacity. Saw Jalen Waddle on occasion, which not really want to run Jalen Waddle that often. So use the Texas A&M back as a mix up the offense where it's not just power left, power right, but use him sweeps, use him jet sweeps, use him, as a slot receiver, use him to beat a linebacker out of the backfield on like a swing pass from Tua.
David, thanks for stepping up and doing this. Hopefully we can do it again. Best of luck with your flag football team. Way to go on the double stuffed.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to doing it during the season.
David Bearman, Pro Football Network, PFN.com. Follow him on Twitter, David Bearman, PFN, Bearman, PFN is how it spells out. David joined us here on Miller and Moulton.
David, it is a tightly fought vote, but double stuffed is falling behind once again, 57-43 in current voting. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FloridaSportsNetwork.com to vote on which Oreo you like.
Man, cannot believe I'm losing this. I would have lost a lot of money on this one.
It's too much cream, David.
No such thing, Felipe.
You know what I'd like? Can I just have a cup of cream, please? I don't want any cookies. I don't want to dip my it's cookies and cream.
For real.
Or I'll just have some cream and cream.
It's inside the cookie. You still have the cookie. You're making it sound as if you're just taking a spoon and scooping off the top and there's nothing else to go with it in a drink. Whatever. I'm losing. This one's going to be painful. This one is going to be painful. I'm going to be retweeting this sucker all day.
Begging for double stuff votes.
Exactly. Until I can just eke ahead, and then I'm going to just, delete it. How do you like your Oreos? It's a hard-hitting show, folks. It always is. You know that. Training camp football and Oreos. It's not a bad morning.
You know what people were wishing was a little more hard-hitting? The Miami Dolphins offensive line.
Yeah. You ain't kidding. That video against the Falcons yesterday was not good. Falcons second to last in sacks last year in the NFL. Looked like they were having a convention at Tua.
And that's the last thing Tua needs.
Last thing any quarterback needs.
It's only the future of their franchise.
Right. No big deal or anything.
Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
It's time for Dr. Roto's yearly house call, Tuesday, August 15th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe in Fort Myers. The second annual Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit, courtesy of the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. Dr. Roto will give you all the tips, secrets, while answering your questions so you can win in fantasy football. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com. $50 gets you dinner, non-alcoholic drinks, and Dr. Roto. Seating is limited. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com today.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Bad golfer. I am over 50, and I am a single stuffed Oreo fan. Just letting you know. I think double stuffed Oreos are kind of like ketchup. They're for children on hot dogs. Are you going? Hosen 20. And hamburgers, E. A hamburger can have ketchup. No, I would be no on that, Canada. It's fine. I don't need it, though.
I usually let milkshakes stand on their own, but I don't put whipped cream on my ice cream either. Don't get me wrong. If I get it with whipped cream, I'll gladly eat it, but I don't add it. I don't add a lot to food. Like I never use salt. There's only a few food items I'll add pepper to.
Well, I can understand that there's that. I mean, you got to reach over and get it. You could have half the burger gone by the time you put the salt on something.
Well, that is true, but
that was really an a-hole move right there.
That's fine though. I deserve that. If you've eaten with me, but I mean, I only eat with one hand, so I could grab the, pepper with the other. But I don't add syrup to ice cream, even though I love it. But I just don't. I don't know what it's probably. We didn't have a lot growing up. We didn't, have the extra stuff really.
We couldn't afford salt.
Well, I'll give my mother a lot of credit. Like for whatever reason, I did not put salt on food, and she had it at the table too, but she did not encourage me to do it. But seriously, like the whipped cream and the chocolate sauce, got that at grandma's.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We got a few things going on today. First off, it's a continuation of a poll question that started during our bonus hour yesterday. How do you like your Oreos? Double stuffed or just, the regular, the normal? And I'm a double stuffed guy, and Mark said, I actually prefer them regular. I threatened to cancel the rest of the show, and Mark said, well, let's make it a poll question. And so far, Mark is winning.
And that bothers David. He is the only person I know. We put up poll questions, and David really treats them as wins and losses.
Not everyone at all, but there's usually one a month in which I feel it's like whether or not I'm still in tune with society at large, or even just our audience. And when I am on the wrong side of that vote, it ruins my faith, not in society, in myself.
Don't worry, that grandkid of yours will like double stuffs for the next 6 to 8 years.
Oh my goodness. Listen, everybody thinks, their kids are great. Their grandkids are great. The prettiest, cutest, smartest, whatever. Here's what I know about my granddaughter. Okay. She eats like me. I didn't know that I could love this kid more than I do, but this kid eats like me. This kid eats rice and cheese by the handful. Just grabs it, clumps it, and shoves it in her mouth. Man, oh man, I looked at my daughter the other day when she did it, and I basically just said, should I give you all my money now, or should I wait till I die? Man, oh man. They say a way to a man's heart is through cooking and food. Well, granddaughter made her way to grandfather's heart by eating just like him. She's got my head and eats like me. Done. Sorry she's got my head, though. That's a bummer for her.
Well, so did your daughter.
I know. I was just hoping,
Melon ran down the family tree. What are you going to do?
I know. I got a big melon. Hopefully she'll get my salad, that goes with it. If you're going to get the big melon, you might as well get the nice salad.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 21,000 is the text line, 21000. Reminder, our fantasy football summit is Tuesday night, the 15th, 7 p.m. at the Crown Plaza Bell Tower. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com.
It's dinner with Dr. Roto, and he has operating privileges in all 8 NFL divisions.
Took you a few days. You even wrote that one down. You looked down at your damn piece of paper. You wrote that pun down, or at least started it.
My buddy Bob in Jersey sending me all these doctor puns. I'm using them all. He's going, you got to out pun Mark. I go, I can't out pun Mark. He goes, I'll try to help. I got one more too for when we promote it, next hour, next segment. I got one more I could throw at you.
Fantastic.
Hey, apparently they had 10 votes last night for Stanford and Cal. 10 out of 15. They needed 12. They apparently were within 2 votes of getting Stanford and Cal because they haven't scheduled a formal vote because you know how it works, Mark. No one ever wants to lose a vote. It's like a bill, going to the floor and what have you. The leaders aren't going to actually let it be voted on until they know they got the votes. So
the ACC feels they had 10 votes.
Yes.
Notre Dame's leading the charge for Stanford and Cal to come to the ACC.
Correct. And apparently at one point last night, they had 10 of the 15 to say yes. They need 12 of 15 because they need 75%. And even though 12 out of 15 is 80%, the problem is 11 out of 15 is only like 72 or 73%. So they came within 2 votes, and apparently now they don't have them, though. That there's at least 4 absolute hard no's. And so the thought is this could die on the vine here.
And if it dies on the vine, does the ACC die with it? Is this their last lifeline? Because if they bring in more schools, they would have the opportunity to revisit their television contract.
Tuesday's the deadline. If you're going to leave the ACC in a year, you have to announce it by Tuesday the 15th. Well, I have to admit, it's quieted down this week. The revolution, Mark, that we thought was maybe going to follow the Pac-12 into the ACC, for what it's worth, seems to have been quieted down.
But if there are 4 no's, it means that they're 4 away from what they need. If we were to come out to find out that this vote didn't have but a handful of yeses, because to make the conference go away and get rid of the grant of rights, they need 8 schools to secede from the ACC.
And back in May, there was the unhappy 7, if you will, in which they all said, listen, things got to change or else we may have to seek shelter elsewhere. Now, Louisville was not part of that group. Louisville later on was like, well, we could join the succession party if the Big 12 would take us. And the Big 12 has not so quietly said, oh, we'll take you. We got Cincinnati and West Virginia in our conference. We'll take you.
And you've got to think Pitt would be leaning towards the Big 12 if that were an opportunity for them, with West Virginia, Cincinnati, and Louisville.
But the revolution that was supposed to take place shortly after the Pac-12 revolution that happened last Friday and made official over the weekend, well, nothing's happened this week on that front. Remember, there were those that were reporting that some smoke signals were going to come out of Tallahassee yesterday. Nothing. Zip, zilch, nada, bupkis, not a word. Okay. So you're asking, Mark, is this one of the last chances for the ACC? Well, to me, doesn't some movement have to start happening for the revolution to pick steam back up? Or otherwise, Tuesday is going to come and gone. And hell, if that's the case, if you're the ACC, you got plenty of time to sit down and work things out. I mean, nobody's going to leave, for 2 years at the earliest. So you got time if you can get past Tuesday.
If you can get past Tuesday. Still leaves you with a television deal that's unsatisfactory.
Yep.
It leaves you with a revenue gap that is overwhelming going forward.
Right. It's a gap now, but beginning this year with the Big Ten and next year with the SEC, it's a gap that's just alarming. You're bringing in 30 million total and they're bringing in double and 2.5 times that.
So how do you fund your athletic department to keep up and stay in the same conference? It seems difficult, to say the very least.
And for whatever reason, this week, ESPN and Fox don't feel like breaking up the ACC. It would be ESPN doing it because they're the ones that control all their media rights. They felt like breaking up the Pac-12, and so they did it.
With Fox's help.
Yeah, Fox was the lead. They led the charge. ESPN just kind of came in at the end and said, we'll top it off. So Notre Dame has a vote. If you wonder how in the world they have 15 votes, well, they got 14 members in Notre Dame, and apparently Notre Dame's got a full vote. Man, it's a hell of a deal Notre Dame worked out. Play all their sports there except football. They get 5 games, but not 8. Only get 5, so we don't have to join. And we get a full vote. Hell, I even think we get a varsity jacket.
But they were really pounding the table to bring Stanford and Cal in as a non-member of the ACC. They really wanted to make sure Stanford and Cal became full members of the ACC. That's rich. It really is.
Mm-hmm. Nearly pulled it off. Looks as if, however, there's just enough resistance to keep the ACC where it is. I'm telling you, I'm more interested in the whole SMU offer. SMU reportedly said to the ACC, take us in as a member and you don't have to pay us for 5 to 7 years. We got it covered. Don't worry. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. Florida Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
You've heard the expression less is more. Well, sometimes the opposite is true. Are you ready to rock your stack? This weekend, August 12th and 13th, visit my friends Jason and Todd at the Diamond District for their Stackable and Wedding Ring Expo. Express your unique style by stacking rings. Stack with your engagement ring. Wearing multiple wedding rings is a sought-after trend. Stack on your right hand, stack rose gold with white gold, stack colored gemstones with diamonds. There are no rules when it comes to stackables, and the Diamond District wants to help you join this popular trend and offer you 20% off manufacturer's direct pricing or 5 years interest-free financing. Your choice on all stackable rings. With thousands of rings to choose from.
Jason and I are excited to give you 20% off manufacturer's direct pricing, or you can take 5 years to pay interest-free. Your choice.
We also look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Be an early show in Vegas, 3 to 6. I don't know how you do those West Coast shows.
Well, believe it or not, the sleep's the same. You just have to,
You really got to go to bed right after when you get home, though, right? From the game.
Yeah, I listen to my, if you really care, I listen to my body. Like if I get back into the hotel and I'm still just a little wired, I'll do my prep. And usually I can get the prep done and then I just collapse. But if I walk in the room and I'm exhausted, I just go straight to bed.
Well, unfortunately, once baseball's over, I know the first part of it's a little tough, but once you get through baseball, the prep's not as bad for the starting five.
Right. Although, NBA, NHL start off early to mid-October, but
you do more scores. With baseball, you got to dig a little. I mean, you do a baseball report more than you do a basketball and a
yes.
Baseball, you got to dig through box scores to find out who hit the home run or what inning had the runs. You're going to every game, which I don't think you do as much certainly not for hockey. Does she really scrape off and then hand you like the way my daughter hands me the crust of a piece of pizza that she doesn't want to eat? She just takes the cream and says, "Here, Dad, eat the cookies." That's fantastic.
Wow.
I love Jin Young Ko. I don't have any goals for my golf. I just want to eat a lot of sausage rolls.
Here we go.
New favorite player.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes until we're out of here along the network anyway, in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. The Diamond District bonus hour awaits at the top of the hour for the good folks in the 239. Thanks so much for listening. We are Miller and Moulton, and this is the Florida Sports Network. Tuesday night, the 15th, our Fantasy Football Summit. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com and sign up. It's presented by the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. A no-no last night in Major League Baseball. We don't get those every day, although it is the fourth no-hitter this year. That includes a combined no-hitter. So 14th in Phillies history, Michael Lorenzen. He was a trade deadline acquisition by the Phils from the Tigers. His first two starts with Philadelphia. He's gone 8 and 9 innings. Hell, he's worth it just for that.
Philly's pitching coach saw something in his changeup that wasn't right, kind of fixed it, and it's worked. And he was already pitching well, but it's added. Lorenzen credits that little tip to helping him go longer in games and getting more guys out. It's obviously worked pretty well thus far being in Philadelphia.
Rays lost, but so did the Orioles, so they stay 2 back in the East. Meanwhile, Marlins' second straight win over the Reds. Josh Bell homered from both sides of the plate. How cool is that? How talented do you have to be to do that? I mean, that's cool if you did it in high school. You did it in the major leagues. My goodness, how good these guys are. So Marlins with a win, they'd be in the playoffs if they started today. They're a half a game ahead of both the Reds and the Cubs. Could have some meaningful baseball played in places where we didn't think we'd have meaningful baseball played down the stretch this year.
And just going to be interesting, David, to see how these teams who had no expectations, when the pressure starts coming, if it hasn't already, how they react to it in the month of August and September, how they're able, we've talked about the Orioles and their pitching staff, how taxed their pitching staff has been this year, how they get down the stretch. For that matter, the Rays, with as banged up as their pitching staff is, how they get to the finish line as well.
Yeah, pay attention. Glasnow got a shot in his back. They're hoping it just delays him for a couple days, and he can start here soon. That's worth paying attention to. If you combine Glasnow with Eflin and Savale, the Rays still have a fighting chance. They lose Glasnow for a long period of time. They ain't checking down the Orioles, and they not going to have nearly as good a shot in the postseason. We've been talking a little bit today about the ACC, which apparently was seriously kicking around last night, the idea of adding Stanford and Cal. They came up 2 votes short, however, privately, so they never voted on it publicly. Looks as if the momentum for that movement is dying by the hour. But SMU has said to the ACC, listen, you don't have to pay us a dime. The rest of the decade, even. We can go 5-7 years. No problem. Don't worry about it. We got 6-7 guys who have said they'll give us $400 million. We'll take care of the whole thing. You don't have to worry about us. Just take us. We want out of the American. We want into a Power 5. Just take us. And apparently this isn't garnering nearly as serious a consideration as Stanford and Cal. I got to admit, Mark, I'm much more interested, if I was a member of the ACC, of the SMU proposal than I am of adding Stanford and Cal. Am I an idiot?
A little bit. But I think the ACC is a little foolish for even trying this because, David, at the end of the day, these are university presidents that are making these decisions. And Cal and Stanford are very appealing to university presidents.
Is it really university presidents or is it ESPN in this case? Because they're the rights holder for the ACC.
I actually think in the ACC's case, it is universities presidents because the ESPN sitting there going, we'd like you to stay just the way you are. We've got you completely bamboozled. You can't do a damn thing. We're not going to pay you any more money. This is one of the few times that I don't think it's ESPN unless they want it to go away.
I believe
if they want it to go away, sorry, David, we've talked about it. That's telling Florida State and Clemson will pay.
I believe contractually, like all these networks, when they signed the deals with the conferences were looking ahead to realignment. And the networks had to agree to in advance as to how many schools they would finance, how many extra schools. And so that's why the whole USC UCLA thing was able to come in quickly. Well, Fox had already negotiated, hey, yeah, you add 2 more schools, we'll pay to go to 16. Now, Oregon and Washington, that took a side negotiation. It was the same thing in the Big 12. Like, it had already been agreed to that they'd go to 14. Now, taking it to 16, that took an extra negotiation, a network throwing more money on the table. Apparently, it's already worked into the ACC deal. They can add a couple schools here, and ESPN's got to pay. They've got to match. Now, they don't have to tear it up and open it up and add more money than what they're already paying out per school. But apparently it's already in the deal. Like if the ACC adds 2 more schools, ESPN's got to pony up the equivalent for those 2 schools to get a full share. But I don't think it's in an agreement to go beyond 16. So some of this stuff's already worked out. Listen, it's unlikely to happen, but can I just throw a crazy idea out there for you? If you're South Florida, would you make the same offer to the ACC that SMU is and say, take us both together?
David, if the situations were the same, where there was the money behind South Florida that there is about SMU, I would. I think it might just financially crumble South Florida. I don't think they've got the 5 people that have the $400 million to support them for 5 years.
Oh, no, they definitely don't. This would be the whole, if you build it, they will come. Oh, so we're going to
This is
build it?
without,
Yes.
without PIF money, they're not doing this. And I'm not, this is where that type of money would have to be there.
Right. No. This would be the ultimate gamble. I mean, this would be like when ESPN in the mid-'80s, who was paying to get on our cable, turned and looked at the cable companies and said, no, you're going to pay us. And there was a moment in time there where if the cable companies had, said that ain't happening, ESPN would have been done overnight. It would have been over. Bankrupt immediately. It wasn't working. And ESPN rolled the dice, and the cable companies were like, well, who's going to buy cable if you don't have MTV and ESPN and CNN? You got to have it. Okay. And ever since, we've been paying for ESPN. This would be the ultimate roll of the dice, Mark. You're absolutely right. There's no in between. It's not, because there is no doubt you could bankrupt the university by the end of the decade. So this is kind of like, so do we think we have people who really want to support us, but they won't do it because we're not big time? What if we can get ourselves in the big time? You've been sitting on your wallet there. Mr. Tyson, you've been sitting on your wallet for 5 years. Okay. What if I told you we're joining the ACC? I'm just saying. If I was South Florida, I would actually publicly throw that out there. I would get people just talking about it. I would be curious as to the reaction to us. Also, I'd want to, it's like a trial balloon, Mark. You know how politicians, they're trial balloons in the air. To me, if I'm South Florida, I want DAE and Tampa and the Tampa Trib writing something. I want people kicking this around a little bit and going, well, are we ready? Obviously in Orlando, they fully supported UCF. They were ready 15 years ago. They built an on-campus stadium. The money came in.
They think so much of it, they went back to Orlando and asked the county for money.
And the county said yes. At least the first wave, the first committee they had to go through said yes. The expectation now is it'll pass. I mean, I'd be curious, just if I was South Florida, I'd throw it out there. I'd call up a college football writer or what have you and say, hey, say South Florida is interested in giving the same proposal that SMU is. Whether we are or not, no, we're actually, hell, that's a great idea. In fact, we're in with them. In fact, SMU needs us. They need somebody else to do it as well. You can't go in by yourself. Can't have an odd number.
David, I think it's a fascinating idea. But without any financial backing, I don't know how you could do it.
Yeah, but I'd get talked about for 2 days and I'd get a bunch of stories written. I'd be in the national press for it. We'll worry about the details later, Mark.
Right. You applied for the Pac-12. That didn't get any national exposure. So, that you couldn't get anybody to ask a question at your press conference. So anything that you can do to generate media. Now, I'm not knocking you. Go for it. Because anything you can do to generate any buzz, positive, negative, just a buzz about South Florida is a win.
What's their hashtag? We are Tampa Bay. Something like that. I mean, just saying. If I was, me, Mark, I'd be the wildest damn athletic director in the country. We'd have awesome press conferences. Okay. We'd constantly be in the news. I'd either be a rock star or I'd be in jail. I mean, honestly, they would put my name on a building at the university within 10 years, or literally they'd close it up, put yellow tape around it and say no one's allowed to enter. Be one or the other.
But South Florida is actually in a spot where they need to do something, because their little conference is now looking more like the Sun Belt than it is the sixth best conference, if you know what I mean.
Well, and here's another reason why, if I'm South Florida, I actually want to do this. I know it's not going to be taken seriously, and I also deep down know that seriously we probably couldn't do it if ACC called our bluff. Okay, but if the ACC is actually going to get raided here or fall apart, they're not going to want to go out of business like the Pac-12. They still got 5 or 6 schools that are going to be laying around that are still going to want to keep this a conference. They're going to have to go grab somebody. I want my name associated with your conference now. so that if the raid of the ACC happens, one of the first phone calls you make are, so you serious about coming here? Absolutely. We'll do it tomorrow.
And if they get raided, maybe there's some there. I do agree with you, because I think the schools that are left, the Wake Forest of the world, are going to need something.
I mean, think about those schools again. We're talking what? Duke, Wake, Syracuse, BC, Georgia Tech, and Miami, fittingly enough. I mean, those are the schools right now that are not directly linked with going to either the Big Ten, the SEC, or the Big 12. That's only 6. I mean, got to get to at least 8, preferably, 9 or 10. I mean, at least 9 for football. I mean, you could, I guess, always add UConn as a football playing member only. So you could bring in 2 more and get to 8 and let UConn play to make it 9. They could stay in the Big East for everything else. So just a crazy idea.
SMU out there saying they would join the ACC and not accept any money for 5 to 7 years.
For free. They literally. By the way, Barstool did pay $1.
Yeah, I did find that out. It was all day yesterday that it was 0. Turns out Portnoy paid $1, got $500 million, and then bought it back for $1. Say what you want about David Portnoy, and he doesn't care what you say about him, because he's incredibly wealthy and he's got his company back.
And if he sells the company, he's got to get half of it back to Penn National there.
Of which he said he will never sell now.
Right. He said never. Nope. Even if I die, I'm handing it off to somebody, but I'm never selling it. Well, never's a long time. You're a young guy. We'll see. But yeah, how about that deal? Andrew Brandt has his Hall of Fame, the business of sports. Come on. Portnoy after that this week has got to be
walks in. First ballot.
got to be a Mount Rushmore.
Damn right. Holy cow.
Sell the company for $500 million, buy it back for $1. And then if you want, you can sell it again. You pocket half of the second sale.
And he started it on his own with nothing. And turned it into a $500 million company. It is a remarkable story. Absolutely remarkable.
And he does pizza reviews too.
Yeah, and if he shows up at your place and gives you a halfway decent rating, your pizza place is turned into a bank. Watched it happen firsthand in our backyard.
Some day baseball today. Also some preseason football tonight. NFL Network. Doubleheader, 7 and 10 o'clock. Betting lines and everything. Hey, it's that time of year.
I'll watch the first quarter of the 7 o'clock game.
You going to watch CJ Stroud for Houston? Look at you. Look at you.
Miller and Moulton. Tampa St. Pete. Port Charlotte and Venice. Lake City. Thanks for listening. The bonus hour, the 239's next.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Planning a wedding can be a daunting task. Choosing the venue, the flowers, the cake, your dress. So much to do before your big day. Well, Jason and Todd with the Diamond District would like to make decisions easy for you when it comes to your wedding bands and give you 20% off or 5 years interest-free financing. Your choice this Saturday and Sunday, August 12th and 13th, during the Diamond District's Summer Wedding Band Expo. The best time of year to buy your wedding bands with the lowest prices and largest selection from America's top bridal designers. Save 20% off manufacturer's direct pricing or take 5 years to pay with no interest. Choose from the newest designs by Crown Ring, M-Pit Designs, My Caroline, A. Jaffe, and Gabriel & Company. This is the largest selection of wedding bands under one roof.
Todd and I look forward to giving you 20% off your wedding bands or 5 years interest-free financing,
as well as shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
It's time for Dr. Roto's yearly house call. Tuesday, August 15th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe in Fort Myers. The second annual Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit, courtesy of the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. Dr. Roto will give you all the tips, secrets, while answering your questions so you can win in fantasy football. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com. $50 gets you dinner, non-alcoholic drinks, and Dr. Roto. Seating is limited. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com today.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Myers.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour, the Diamond District bonus hour edition of Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Go there, vote in our poll question. How do you like your Oreos, double stuffed or regular? Go there to sign up for our Fantasy Football Summit, Tuesday night the 15th, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe, Fort Myers. Presented by the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. Dinner, Dr. Roto. Take care of all your fantasy football needs. Dr. Roto endorsed by more people than Doogie Howser, MD.
You tell your friend he should have quit while he was ahead. The last one was pretty good. That was
for
if he'd have gone Marcus Welby, MD, then I would have been impressed.
Let's see. 4 out of 5 fantasy GMs prefer Dr. Roto over their regular doctors. Okay, I haven't gotten that one yet. Dr. Roto, board certified. So, just saying. Mark, what's yours again?
It's your prescription for a fantasy football championship.
How about that? Hey, we mentioned it very early in the show, but if you're the Northwestern AD and president, so listen, you and I have been fired a few times.
Documented.
Our hope is it made the papers and everything. Probably in more than one city. But anyway, so we know sometimes what you have to do to get fired. I got to admit, when I saw the story last night, I thought to myself, I got to admit, that's probably a fireable offense. And you know me, I never like to fire somebody.
Nope. No, you are a suspension guy. You're a talk to him. You're a demote him. You are not a first reaction. Let's fire someone.
Right. And I understand this. If you don't know the story, we can get into First Amendment rights and all that. But obviously, the Northwestern athletic department and really football program, they're under a little bit of heat here in the last month or so. And
First Amendment rights have nothing to do with this.
Well, I don't know about that. Are you sure you can't wear whatever shirt you want? I mean, there's
when
nothing.
You're employed by a private university? No, I don't think you can.
Okay. Well,
I actually don't think you can.
Okay, then fair enough. So anyway, there are football coaches who were spotted at practice wearing shirts that read "Cats Against the World." Northwestern's the Wild Cats. Cats Against the World, with everybody dumping on them for the hazing allegations and all that, and the firing of Pat Fitzgerald. Pat Fitzgerald, arguably the greatest athlete in Northwestern history. And he wore number 51 when he played at Northwestern. And the coaches that are wearing the Cats Against the World shirts, on the back of the shirts, they have number 51 on them. Well, the AD lost his mind yesterday. This is inappropriate. This is offensive. These guys are tone deaf. Now, the funny thing is they've been wearing them apparently for 2 weeks. Nobody noticed.
Makes you wonder where the AD's been. Well, it was the first open practice, and the practice was the media was there. Film came out, seeing these jerseys, and the AD looks the fool.
I was going to say, it certainly shows the AD hasn't shown up at practice at all and said to the interim guy, "Hey, how's it going? Anything I can do to help?" And while walking around goes, "Wait a minute, what are those guys wearing?"
Right.
Right. So, and the AD's got problems. He was the one who hired Pat Fitzgerald, but he is the guy who hired the baseball coach who lasted a year, who got fired because apparently there was hazing and racist stuff going on in his program. So he is responsible for that guy. So we don't think he's going to be here for the Christmas party. But anyway, for today, he's very upset. All right. I'm your assistant again. I'm saying, come on now. Don't do. Don't have to fire them. We could suspend them, dock them a week's pay, what have you, which would be a lot.
David, and that's the problem. It's a bunch of coaches and staffers that are wearing this. This isn't one guy.
I know. But don't you have to put your foot down here and say, hey, listen, you're either with us or against us. The administration, okay, either you're with Northwestern or you're against us.
David, this may seem like the ultimate cop-out, but we are at 21 days from college football starting.
Gators play Utah 21 nights from tonight, yes.
I mean, not counting week 0, and I don't think Northwestern plays week 0.
Not this year, no.
So they're 23 days from their first game?
Technically 24. They play Sunday on CBS against Rutgers in Jersey. Here they were thinking it'd be great to get some national television for the Big Ten opener. What do you think the number one storyline is going to be instead?
So I don't know how, and you can fire someone, I get it. But I don't know how you fire one coach on this. If you think you can find a ringleader and get rid of that coach, fine. Can you just quickly do what you did yesterday, reprimand them, get through this season, and gas everybody the minute the last game's over?
Well, clearly those coaches, by the way, are saying this is my last year here anyway. Right. Okay.
I'm not saying we got to do it for the kids, but you do have athletes there that are playing. Notice I said athletes. I didn't put that other word in front of them. Although I do even think that most kids at Northwestern are student athletes.
They probably are, but we can't give them that designation anymore.
Right. But you have these athletes that are about to start a season. So I don't know if I can just upload and fire all my coaches. You can't make a mockery of your sport. It's going to be bad enough to how Northwestern football looks this year regardless.
Can you just dock them pay? Like, are you allowed to? It's a private university, right? Northwestern's private.
Yes.
Yeah, so you could do whatever you want at a private university. So can you just, keep them on the job, but hell, dock you 3 days pay? I mean, listen, you dock a member of an athletic department, even an assistant coach at a place like Northwestern. I mean, Pat Fitzgerald may have been making his $3.5 million or whatever he's making, but if you're not a coordinator, and remember, the defensive coordinator got promoted to interim head coach. So I'll bet you most of those coaches are making what? They're living in the greater Chicago area, so they're probably paid a little bit more. What do you think they're making? $250,000? The average assistant coach on that staff is making about $250,000.
You would know better than me, David.
I mean, that's $5,000 a week. If you say $300,000, it's $6,000 a week. And if you dock a guy a week's pay, if apparently they're wearing them around the athletic offices too, I mean, I'm docking you a week's pay. Okay, I could fire you. And by the way, it'd be real easy to fire you. I can replace you by Monday. Okay, but those guys are going to be a little harder to replace, even though we're replacing them in 5 months.
Well, and the staffers could be gone tomorrow. You could get rid of all of them. I mean, the non-coaches could be gone.
By the way, how do you think the interim head coach feels? Think about what he's walking into. If he's got half his staff wearing T-shirts supporting the old head coach. This guy, the interim, by the way, was hired in January for North Dakota State. He doesn't know these guys. They're wearing name tags on these shirts for him, for goodness sakes. He's calling them all coach. Hey, coach. Come here, coach. So, I don't know. It just, that story interested me. I'm like, because, Mark, the very first television job I ever had, I was 20. I turned 21. I was not mature enough for the job. I was actually talented enough for the job, if I do say so. I was actually better than the guy, anyway. But I wasn't mature
telling everybody you were better enough for the job because you weren't mature enough for the job.
Well, exactly, because they demoted me for him, and I had no problem telling everybody, come on, I'm better than him. And they were like, yeah, actually you are. So I had no problem telling the news director he was an idiot, and I'm better than this guy. What are you doing? Right. So my contract's coming up. And needless to say, things aren't going well. Why? Well, because I called the news director an idiot. And I'm 21 years old. He's got shirts older than me. And so we played softball and basketball regularly. All the TV stations got along great. And we used to swap gear, okay, just to have it. Nobody'd be stupid enough to go out in public and be working for Channel 16 and wear a Channel 22 hat. But, we all just kind of had it around. I showed up at work one day with a WNEP TV hat on, Channel 16, who was the number 1 station in town, and we worked at the number 3 station, Channel 22, WYOU. Sports director looked right at me and said, "You could get fired." And I go, "Yeah, I got to admit, I don't care."
Special. You are special, David.
And so when I heard this story, I thought to myself, I go, they're wearing the NEP hat. There was a part of me that really supported the coach. And I'm like, I get where you're coming from.
David, if they were wearing Illinois gear, they would have been in a better position than wearing what they were wearing. Okay.
Yes.
They could have, the Illinois stuff they might have laughed that off a little bit. The Cats Against the World with Pat Fitzgerald's number on it. That one has not been met as well. I am also with you though. How do they wear these for 2 weeks? And I get it becoming a story now, but it almost looks like the AD was on their side up until the point that the media got a hold of the shirt.
Right. And now I am outraged. This is inappropriate, offensive. These coaches are tone deaf, which is funny. That's what a lot of people are accusing you and your department of being. That's why they have the whole story that we have right now, sir.
But it is amazing that a school that, by all looks, promoted hazing, did a lot of things the wrong way, are now trying to play the victim card with the shirts like that. It's a pathetic look for Northwestern.
Is it the number? Could they have gotten away with the shirts if it was just Cats Against the World?
I don't think so.
Really? Because if you think about it, everybody's dumping on them right now. That's a chip on your shoulder shirt.
Yeah, I gotcha. But you're playing the victim when you were bullying people. It doesn't work. It's not a good look.
Well,
no matter what you put on the shirt.
Obviously, they don't think that they were. Those coaches don't think they're guilty of any wrongdoing, obviously. They were on staff. They know what kind of a man Pat Fitzgerald is. They support him. They're going down with the ship.
And they're going to go down. Hard.
Listen, if they all could have found jobs, they all would have left. But it happened in July. They've got families and bills to pay and what have you, so they're stuck. And they hate it. So they're going to wear Pat Fitzgerald shirts.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps Have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yes, okay, music we did. There was a North Carolina wide receiver who also wasn't allowed, and he came back home because he had a sick mom. You know, go blue. That's a fair point. I think so, but only recently.
Well, we didn't do a whole lot on OK Music. It's not really worthy of much more than mentioning.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can go back and listen, but you'd have to
Yeah,
a bit of a needle in the haystack because we didn't even do a segment on it. I think it was in a Sports Center 2 days ago when it happened.
I miss the NBA. I'm sorry. I'll stop now.
Oh my God, really?
I really do.
Really?
I need basketball.
That's great.
I'm tired of all this low tier basketball, whatever the hell this is. I'm seeing on my TVs. I need Steph Curry getting blocked by Anthony Davis or something. I'm excited for the FIBA, though. I've said this already, but should be interesting.
Why?
Because Canada has an all-NBA team that could probably beat the United States. And talent, the international talent just keeps on getting better. And when Luka plays for Slovenia, he averages like 40 a game. So
Well, okay, music, they're pretty consistent about being inconsistent.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. The Diamond District bonus hour. They got a hot steaming deal going on this weekend.
Sure do. It's their Wedding Band Expo this weekend at the Diamond District, where you can get 20% off your wedding band or 5 years interest-free financing. Either or. So check it out. Todd and Jason at the Diamond District for their Wedding Band Expo this weekend. Whether you're looking for an engagement ring or whether you're looking to buy that wedding band or the extra wedding band. I'm all knowing of that, David. Past that 10-year last year. Needed to buy the second wedding band. I didn't know that going into the game.
Well, there's quite a few things we don't know going into the game.
Good news is that Todd and Jason were there for me. They'll be there for you. So visit them at Southwest Florida's Diamond District and make sure you tell them Miller and Moulton sent you.
Yeah. And while you're there, bring them some Oreos and just say, hey, we heard that, this whole ring thing, it's kind of like a double stuffed Oreo. The middle is the diamond and then the cookie are the two bands. That's what got us on the damn Oreo poll question, which I'm losing.
Somehow you put wedding bands and that reminded you of Oreo cookies.
Right. I was trying to be cute and funny. Everything relates to food with me, which is, do you think that because I turn everything into food, that's why I'm fat? Or do you think because I'm fat, I then turn everything into a food analogy?
Chicken or the egg, huh? Is that what we're...
Right. Yeah. And in my case, I'll eat them both. But anyway. Miller and Moulton. Would you, very quickly, you're Florida State, you're Miami. I'll tell you what, forget talking about Florida State. You're Miami. Stanford and Cal, would you vote for them to come into the ACC, yes or no? No guarantees about anybody else. No Notre Dame. Notre Dame's just pushing for it. They think it'd be good for the conference. They're kind of sort of a member, but not really.
On
yes
their
or
own,
no?
No.
Yeah, I don't know why you'd do it either. They're 3,000 miles away. You'd literally have the longest road trip. Well, maybe Boston College would, but you know what we're getting at.
Syracuse. They're all right there.
Yeah. Well, and the Syracuse travel would be the worst because they don't have a major airport to fly out of. So that'd just be
right. That's everything to the city. And then.
Yeah. That's a total mess. But yeah, I don't know how you could think this is a good thing. There's two things that I'm really wondering. Do you think how we say you can never put the genie back in the bottle? You can never go back, blah, blah, blah. Are we sure about that going forward? Are you sure that when these television contracts in the 2030s are ending, that these conferences won't look at one another and go, can we just treat football separately? Like, you think there's ever a way USC and UCLA and even the Big Ten might say to them, listen, why don't you guys put the band back together for the other 20 sports? We really only want you for football.
Possibly. But football is never going to be treated on its own the way you and I would like it to because of Title IX. The football could be on its own. The scholarships would have to remain the same or it's never going to get done. That's the hard part of this, David. And you know that.
I do. The other thing which really concerns me is for as much as you and I think football should be its own separate entity, and we think that common sense dictates that one sport has 85 scholarships, so there's not another single sport that you have that has more than 15. Okay, that obviously that sport needs to be treated separately from the rest of the athletic department. If that were to ever happen, Mark, there'd be a lot of women's sports that would go away. I mean, they just would. It's not like the universities are paying their bills with these sports. So they'd be like, well, the only reason we have these 5 sports is to equal out the football scholarships. We don't have to equal them out anymore. Oh, well, then these sports need to go. We'll turn them into club sports overnight.
Well, it was what, 2 years ago that Stanford, before any of this was talked about, dumped a handful of sports. The school that is the best at sports.
Correct. For the last 5 years, they've won the Learfield, Sears, whatever the heck it is, Cup as the best athletic department in the country in terms of their teams and where they've finished.
And we see how much that matters because they're out without a home right now.
Which, by the way, I do think is part of the appeal behind the scenes for Stanford and the ACC. The ACC won the most national championships of all the conferences this year. They won 9 national championships. So you could see where behind closed doors, you've got ADs and university presidents. You know, the ACC thinks pretty highly of themselves. They got a bunch of good universities. I mean, the commissioner of the ACC has come out and said, well, it's not like we're having trouble competing. I mean, Clemson's won 2 national titles. Florida State made the playoffs twice and won a national title all in the last 10 years. If you think about it, we've won 3 of the last 10 football national championships. Between those 2 schools, we've got how many playoff appearances? Like 7? 8 maybe? He's like, we're not having trouble competing. He didn't say this publicly, but he's like, can we count the number of championships the Big Ten's winning, please? For all the advantages and all the resources they have.
In any sport.
Right. Right.
I mean, there's not a thing the Big Ten dominates. Not a thing. Maybe college wrestling.
Ohio State's won. Big Ten's got 1 football title in the last 20 years. They haven't won a basketball title in the last 20 years. Michigan State, 2000. So last hoops title. Now, a couple schools have come close. Wisconsin, Illinois, but
they don't win them in women's basketball. They don't win them in baseball. They don't win them in softball. I think Michigan might have one in softball here in the last decade. But you see what we're getting at.
So, and that's what the ACC is trying to say behind the scenes. And that's why Stanford in particular, although Cal has produces the 4th most Olympians of any school on the 2020 Olympic team. Stanford was 1st, Cal was 4th. Between those 2 universities, they produced like 50 Olympians 3 years ago. Pretty damn impressive. But so anyway, full picture there. But apparently it ain't going to happen. Apparently it kind of died last night. They came 2 votes shy, and that's why they never voted. And so it looks like this isn't going to happen.
But 2 things out of this. One is how close it came, and 2, the fact that David and I are still a little shocked that Notre Dame has a full vote.
Yeah, I did not realize that.
And Florida State's president, apparently, when all this was going on, said, I'll vote for you, Notre Dame. Join the conference.
Which then, of course, begs the question, you'll get a reworked media deal and what have you. Would that be enough for Florida State and Clemson to go, yeah, we're dropping the lawsuit? I mean, because that's essentially what they're doing here. I mean, we're going to sue to leave. Well, what if we rework the terms? Well, what are the terms? They'll be this. Oh, then we're good. And Deadstruck in our Twitch chat room is asking, why does Notre Dame care about that? Notre Dame needs the ACC to stay in business.
And to stay independent.
Right. They need it to stay in business so they cannot join it.
Because the Big Ten teams have quit playing Notre Dame. So Notre Dame it would be interesting if the ACC dissolves and Notre Dame's left out there. It would be interesting to see what Notre Dame's football schedule would look like.
That's why we think, with all this stuff going on, we think that the ACC could have a little hand here. We've actually come up with the idea that the Big East may go, let the ACC dissolve. We'll take, now we had Pitt as part of it, but we'll take BC, we'll take Syracuse. UConn plays football, and we'll call Notre Dame up and say, listen, we'll put a football conference together for you. We'll give you the first $100 million.
These are the stories that we think are advancing this college football realignment, conference expansion, and everywhere this is going. But we finished things out with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was the day when and what's on tap. We'll do that next right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
You've heard the expression less is more. Well, sometimes the opposite is true. Are you ready to rock your stack? This weekend, August 12th and 13th, visit my friends Jason and Todd at the Diamond District for their Stackable and Wedding Ring Expo. Express your unique style by stacking rings. Stack with your engagement ring. Wearing multiple wedding rings is a sought-after trend. Stack on your right hand, stack rose gold with white gold, stack colored gemstones with diamonds. There are no rules when it comes to stackables, and the Diamond District wants to help you join this popular trend and offer you 20% off manufacturer's direct pricing or 5 years interest-free financing. Your choice on all stackable rings. With thousands of rings to choose from.
Jason and I are excited to give you 20% off manufacturer's direct pricing, or you can take 5 years to pay interest-free. Your choice.
We also look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Dr. Roto, no need for the paddles. He's that good. Dr. Roto, so good, Dave Portnoy buys him pizza.
First one was better. So that's what your buddy was doing for the last hour.
Well, I mean, he's a lawyer. I mean, I just don't know who he's billing it to, but yes. Yes.
That's impressive.
Yep. Dr. Roto board certified. 4 out of 5 Dr. Roto, or 4 out of 5 fantasy GMs prefer Dr. Roto over the regular doctors. Dr. Roto, he has operating privileges in all NFL divisions. Then no need for the paddles, and then the Dave Portnoy pizza. Yep. Let's see. This started 2 hours and 11 minutes ago. So yeah, he's got to bill somebody for this.
All right, Adam. They do play Ohio State and USC this year. This whole Notre Dame schedule thing is inaccurate.
Yeah, I got to admit, listen, I understand that there's a lot of you that don't like Notre Dame.
I hate Notre Dame, okay? I hate Notre Dame. This schedule is a bunch of crap. You find a school that's got 3 tougher games than Ohio State, USC, and Clemson this year.
I mean, come on now.
I mean, come on.
Come
then
on.
that's still, you got NC State on the road, Louisville on the road, Pitt at home. I mean, put that up against Georgia's schedule. Put that up against Michigan's schedule. Come on.
I mean, they have scheduled USC non-conference for 80 years. I mean, that's pretty good.
Georgia is the school that tries to make the easiest schedule year after year.
And Georgia caught a bad break this year because they had a home and home with Oklahoma that ended up getting canceled because of Oklahoma joining the conference a year early.
No, they do not play Ohio State every year, but they scheduled. Notre Dame's always scheduled. Part of this, though, the Big Ten, because Michigan won't play them anymore now.
No, this is to complete the home and home with Ohio State. They played in Columbus last year. Hey, I played Ohio State for.
I do too.
Listen, it was one of the things I loved about Tressel. He played at Cincinnati. When the year they won the national title in 2002, they survived the game at Riverfront against Cincinnati.
I like a field goal, right?
Yeah, they were throwing the ball into the ends. They were in the red zone, throwing the ball into the end zone at the end of the game.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but what time does school start?
7:20 first bell.
Because Soph's on her way to work right now, or maybe it's an early day.
Well, no, you got high schools and middle schools go later. Middle school starts at like 9:30.
Right.
What?
Yeah. High schools. Yeah. You can't have them all.
You can't. Time. You got to. They've all got to be separated to pick everybody up.
I mean, I guess. I started school at 8 a.m.
You went to a Catholic private school. They do have different set of rules.
I guess.
Hold their own.
But like when's dismissal?
Well, it depends on when you start.
Right. I wouldn't mind a 9:30 to 3 day.
It's later. I want to say the middle schools end at like 3:30. They don't get home until almost 5 o'clock. 8:40 middle. Okay, well, thanks, Joe.
Adam, USC is about to join the same conference as Ohio State, Michigan. I mean, and Adam, no offense, Ohio State and Michigan would go to the Rose Bowl and get beat more times than not.
$15 tickets. Here we go.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes until the top of the hour, 16 until we are out of here. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com. Sign up for our Fantasy Football Summit. It is Tuesday night, the 15th. It is dinner. It is Dr. Roto. And it is info so that you can win your fantasy football league. You want me to do it?
Go.
It's dinner with Dr. Roto. Dr. Roto. No need for the paddles. He's that good.
The fact that you have a friend who has spent the majority of the morning typing you puns simply because I've said it's your prescription to a fantasy football championship. And apparently that either got him excited or bothered that I used it more than once. I don't know which one it was.
Not bothered. He took it as a challenge. He's like, listen, Moulton's terrible with these puns. And he's acknowledged that. Mark's good at them. We need to come up with a pun that is at least at the level of Mark Miller. And so he has spent the last 2 hours and 15 minutes. The great thing is he's a lawyer. He's billing this to somebody. This is fantastic. I just hope it's not us. Goodness knows we don't have any money in the LLC to pay for it.
Good luck. Take us to collections.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
We start in 1776 because London found out today that they were at war with us.
Wow.
Word of the Declaration of Independence reaches London today in 1776.
Well, carrier pigeons and all that, it really did take a while.
Yes, it did. Missouri admitted as our 24th state today in 1821. Chicago incorporates as a village of about 200 people today in 1833.
It's a little bigger these days.
Today in 1934, Babe Ruth announces this is his final season as a full-time player. 1948, Alan Funt's Candid Camera debuts on ABC TV. It's a long-running show, for crying out loud. Hitchcock's Psycho premieres in L.A. today in 1960. Jim Morrison stood trial in Miami for lewd and lascivious behavior today in 1970. Harmon Killebrew becomes the 10th to get 500. He would add 501 today as well in 71. Nicklaus wins the PGA at Firestone today in 75. That would be his 4th PGA crown.
He'd win
Michael
one
Jackson.
more. I'm sorry, he'd win one more in 80 at Oak Hill.
I'll get to that in a second. I've got one little thing in the middle of it. Off the Wall by Michael Jackson was released today. His best album.
You know what? I would agree with you. Thriller, obviously his biggest, but that album from beginning to end is magical.
First 2 songs, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough and Rock With You. Bang, bang!
I think it's his best. Not his biggest.
I'll give you that.
But it's what though? The videos though were horrendous. They were so, it was the very infancy of like video. MTV wasn't even around yet. And he put together videos. And when MTV finally came around, they started playing those videos. They were bad for 1981 MTV, which was nearly impossible.
Today in 80, Jack would get his 5th PGA, winning by 7 shots over Andy Bean. Today in 84 at the LA Games, Mary Decker and Zola Budd collide.
Oh my goodness.
It's a big deal.
It really was. People wanted to physically harm Zola Budd.
In the 3,000 meter, Decker would fall, Budd would finish 7th, and Mary Decker was the favorite. It was going to be a big Olympic American moment.
And remember, we boycotted the 80 games. She was the best long-distance runner in the world, but we didn't compete. Now this is going to be her Olympics. Yeah.
That same day, the U.S. would beat Spain by a mere 31 to win gold. Michael Phelps in 2008 would win the 400-meter individual medley with a world record time at Beijing. Padraig Harrington wins the PGA at Oakland Hills today in 2008. Rory wins the PGA at Valhalla today in 2014.
That's his last major. That's his last major, the PGA in 14, because they played it obviously in August then, and he hasn't won one since. 9 years. Honestly, could you imagine going on the air 9 years ago and saying, you know what? Rory's not going to win another major. He would have been fired.
Herbert Hoover and Jimmy Dean, both born today.
I went to Herbert Hoover Junior High School.
I had Jimmy Dean sausage. I don't know. Roseanne Arquette, 64. Antonio Banderas and Kenny Perry are both 63. John Starks is 58. Riddick Bowe is 56. Gino Torretta is 53. Kylie Jenner is 26. And John Morant's 24. What did I miss?
Oh, a few things. Remember the Pinto when you crashed into the back of it, it blew up? Yeah, the first one happened today in 78 in Indiana. And by the way, on the same day that Mary Decker Slaney fell, Red Dawn was released today in 84.
I love that movie.
The first ever PG-13 movie.
Really?
Yes, first one.
Nice.
So, there you go. That's all I got.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
Well, a very tough woman. She was working. and two teenagers stole her backpack and ran off. Her back window was down as she was getting gas. She chased, got them to release the backpack, called the police, helped the police track the two men down. They were both arrested, and she got her backpack back. That's one tough lady. Apparently, the two teens had also stolen the car, so she's the hero of the day. For the bad, we go to Sarasota, where a car museum was robbed and a $250,000 77 Porsche 911 Turbo was stolen. Well, it was a pretty sophisticated heist by all accounts. Then what to do with the car? That same person who stole the car tried to register the car in Sarasota, where the car was stolen from.
Mark, can't fix stupid.
No, you cannot. Went through a lot of different details, different registrations, and forged a bunch of documents, and still got busted nonetheless. Finally, the ugly, we go to Naples, where a 53-year-old man became agitated while waiting in a waiting room at North Collier Hospital. He barged into the emergency room, pushed a patient, pushed a nurse, and after the staff got him into a room and in an effort to keep him from disturbing other patients, he took off all his clothes and pulled a high-pressure water pipe from the wall, flooding the hospital's emergency room, causing tens of thousands of dollars of damage. Deputies would have to tase the man to subdue him. He is now facing a charge of aggravated battery and 4 charges of criminal mischief. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, August the 10th, 2023.
You know, stuff like that happens other places, but it's a very Florida man thing to just strip nude for some reason.
It really is.
Why do they always have to strip nude?
I don't get it.
Why do they always, I mean, I get it's hot, but to really take off your clothes like that and have a temper tantrum? I mean, come on. It's like you said, you can't fix
No. I'm going to fix all the I've got this. I've got this. I'm going to fix all of it. Let me strip down naked first.
Not only that, I mean, you know, I would have understood it more growing up in the 70s. You know, we went through that whole streaking phase, you know, but all these stories, Mark, have a nudity factor to them. None of us get it. We got 8 baseball games today. 4 of them in the afternoon. The one that I think most people are interested in is Houston and Baltimore. Why? Because it affects the Rays, who are 2 back, who tonight at 6:40 are wrapping up their series with the Cardinals. Marlins are off today. There's Women's World Cup Soccer, 9 o'clock tonight on Fox, if anybody's interested. I think
They're still playing that?
They are, yes. And Fox is contractually obligated to keep showing it. Yep, 9 o'clock tonight on Big Fox. Spain and the Netherlands. In theory,
that's a good one.
If we had won our group, then we would have had an easier first-round opponent than Sweden, the 3rd best team in the world. We would have won, and we'd be playing Spain.
In prime time at 9 o'clock.
Exactly.
Seems that they have this set up for a different game to be played at 9 o'clock on a Thursday.
Right. They kind of thought the U.S. was going to win that group. And then, yes, so the Netherlands is going to be playing a bunch of 9 o'clock matches as long as they're winning. 2 preseason games in the NFL, both on NFL Network tonight. Last I saw, both point spreads were 3.5 in this game. Houston on the road, a 3.5-point favorite in New England is what I saw at 7 o'clock on NFL Network. And then Seattle at home against Minnesota, a 3.5-point favorite in that game.
37.5 your total in the Patriots Texans, 35.5 your total in Vikings Seahawks.
Okay. It's bad enough I gave the spread for preseason football games and we gave the time and the network that the games are on. You gave the over-under totals. I mean, what do you work for, ESPN Bet or something? I mean, my goodness, which they say, by the way, is not going to be up and running until October at the earliest.
How can you do a deal like that, which has obviously been in the works for a long time, and not be ready to roll out for football season?
Well,
I'm not kidding. You've already lost such a big market share to FanDuel and DraftKings. You've got to have that sucker out to start the season.
This sports book is the Barstool Sportsbook, which has less than 5% of the total business out there. It's, quote, only in 16 states. Well, there's 33 of them right now that have legalized sports betting. So that's what it's up against. And yes, it's going to miss the first, well, damn near half of college football season and pretty much the first third of the NFL season. That's starting from behind. That is for sure. Next week is an interesting week. Remember when the Seminole tribe in the state of Florida won? There was a 45-day period in which they couldn't do anything. That ends Tuesday next week. So it will be very interesting if all of a sudden we start hearing about the Seminole sports app again and gambling. Because the thought is this is going to be operational very early in the football season. If not by the first weekend of the NFL, very close to it. So the earliest they could say, hey, we're open for business is next Tuesday.
But I mean, that's all well and good. Patriots, Texans, Vikings, Seahawks tonight. Just want to remind you of those 2 NFL games and to sign up for our Fantasy Football Summit. It is Tuesday night, Dr. Roto, dinner, Crown Plaza, Bell Tower. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up. It'll be a great night. Always is. I'll be there at registration with 1 box of double stuff, 1 box of Oreos. We'll settle this dispute among the people that night.
The sponsor of the Fantasy Football Summit is the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. Michael F. Hornung has chimed in on how we should be billing Dr. Roto. And he says, Dr. Roto, his prognosis will stop you from going code blue.
David, I will say the votes are changing. Double stuff getting a lot of traction. 52-48 as we end the show today.
Double stuffed in the lead?
No, but it's been down by
far
more than 4 points. It's Broward and Dade apparently coming to vote late like always, David.
There you go. Those are my peeps. Those are my peeps.
I watch Philly. I just turn when you say peep. My neck snaps just to see Philly cringe every time you say that.
Because most times he's so proud to be a part of this show and he tells people about it. I know, because I've had them say, hey, I ran into Felipe. You know, he really likes working with you guys, loves the show and what have you. And then I say thing like, you know, our peeps. And Felipe's like, I got to get another job.
Especially coming into one of these last segments when we got the house music going. Felipe likes to end it on an upbeat note. Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for listening. A Football Friday tomorrow, David. We'll have it for you, 6 a.m. right here on the Florida Sports Network.
It's time for Dr. Roto's yearly house call, Tuesday, August 15th, 7 o'clock.